The sheep grazed here first, clipping the grass short with their teeth, hollowing out bunkers in the sand to shield them from the wind. Their shepherds, it is said, knocked rocks along the ground into rabbit holes. Here at St. Andrews, here by the sea. Here on the Lynx land, revealed when the waters receded a few million years ago. This may be how golf began, here where it's been played for 500 years. It's a homely piece of ground, this old course, but beauty, as the poet said, is in the eye of the beholder, and each visitor sees with his own eye. The townspeople look at the course and see an old lady, ancient, but with great dignity, worthy of respect. The discerning golfer sees a challenge of great subtlety, different than any other he has seen. But other visitors from the lush green fairways of America are disappointed. Nothing but a cow pasture, they say. Some cow pasture. It's the world's most famous golf course. And this week, the British Open Championship is played here for the 24th time. The names and faces of those who have won here float down the years to us. Some famous names, others ephemeral figures who flashed briefly across the fairways of St. Andrews, then vanished in the Scottish mist. The old great town has seen them all. It saw the great gentleman golfer Bobby Jones tear up his scorecard and stomp off the course as a 19-year-old wonder boy. And it saw the same Jones return in triumph, and near the end of his life say that his experiences at St. Andrews alone would have constituted a full life. The old great town has seen them all as champions: Barden and Braid, Jones and Bobby Locke, Snead and Lima, and Nicklaus and Seve Ballesteros. And today it again will crown a champion, an old friend or a new face experiencing the greatest thrill of a golfer's career, to win the Open where the sheep once grazed in the wind, to win at St. Andrews and be remembered as long as golf is played. ABC Sports and the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, Scotland proudly present the final round of the 119th British Open Golf Championship. It's 2:32 of a gusty summer afternoon on the shores of St. Andrews Bay. Looming behind the first tee at the famous old course is the clubhouse of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, the ruling body of golf everywhere except the United States and Mexico. And here's the Swilcan Burn, an ancient narrow stream guarding the first green. Jack Nicklaus drove into it yesterday. Now we move across to the 17th. And the world's most famous bit of sand, the road bunker, sometimes called the Sands of Nakajima, after the Japanese golfer who putted into it in 1978 and eventually made a 9. The new champion will walk across this stone bridge on the 18th today as the applause begins to welcome him into golf history. The bridge has been there since Roman time. Then they'll walk up through this deep depression on the final green. The Valley of Sin, it's called. Yes, we're at St. Andrews, a golf links like none other in the world. And who are the leaders in this 119th championship? Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard. Well, the leader hasn't started yet. That, of course, is Nick Faldo with that 5-shot lead over Payne Stewart of the United States and Ian Baker Finch of Australia. Then young Craig Perry, another Australian. Ian Woosnam is 10 under after 1 hole of play today, as you see indicated on the right of your screen. Vijay Singh of Fiji is 10 under after 11 holes. He has moved into the picture. And look at Donnie Hammond of the United States, also 10 under after 5 holes today. Paul Broadhurst, who shot 63, the 24-year-old Englishman at 10 under. Peter Jacobson, 9 under after 2. Corey Pavin of the United States is there. Frank Novello of New Zealand. There's Freddie Couples, Paul Azinger, and Ola Thabo back in the picture again, the 24-year-old Spaniard. Well, good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay, welcoming you to ABC Sports' 30th consecutive coverage of the British Open Golf Championship. What a wonderful relationship it's been. We first came here when Arnold Palmer won at Royal Birkdale, the first of his 2 consecutive British Open Championships. We're all back again, and I think one of the most remarkable things about this weekend so far has been the total reemergence of the British Commonwealth as a major power in the world of golf. This island particularly, there are 2 Englishmen and a Welshman in the top 6 leaders, I believe, the way the scoreboard stands at the moment. And then there are a couple of Australians, there's a New Zealander, and there are still 3 Americans in the fight. But the man of the moment is Nick Faldo, who is expected today to almost literally crown himself as the greatest golfer in the world. Time then to bring in Our colleague, Peter Allis. Peter, who has followed the career of Nick Faldo since he was a kid. And this really is the day of coronation, I think, if all goes his way.
It should be, Jim. 5 strokes at this level and a player of his caliber on a course like this. It should be all, well, in many people's eyes, sealed and signed. But not so. 3 things could go wrong. I mean, he could play badly, which he doesn't look as if he's going to do. He could play reasonably well, and somebody could do a 64. And pip him, you know, he could do a sort of 70 and get beaten maybe, but and also he could have a play quite well and have a lot of bad luck. We saw Greg Norman yesterday 7 times take 3 to get down from less than 30 yards from the flag. They weren't all in easy positions, but you would expect a player of his caliber to do that. But Faldo's looking very good indeed. He's become a clinical assassin.
He certainly has. What a year he's had so far. Remember the Masters? Here was the playoff. Ray Floyd had already put it in the water. All he had to do was put this one on the green, pretty much, and it was all done for his 2nd Masters championship. And there it was.
Well, it was a good shot, Jim. It wasn't blocked out to the right, you know, hoping that Floyd was going to certainly take 3 or 4 more from the water. It was a cold-blooded shot, played beautifully.
And then at our U.S. Open, remember the final green, this putt could have made a big difference.
Well, it would have got him into the playoff. That's not to say he would have won the playoff, but at least he would have had a shout at it, and it wasn't to be.
If he had won that playoff, he could still be going for the fabled Grand Slam that's never been achieved so far, Masters, U.S. and British Open, and the PGA. And there is Nick Faldo in the live picture on the practice green, and that is something he does perhaps more of than anybody in the game.
Well, practice. He was there at 10 o'clock this morning, Jim. He's not, wasn't due out till nearly 3 o'clock. Now, I wonder whether this game plan is right. He was there with David Ledbetter, his coach and guru, and he was eager to go. Ledbetter said he was ready, he wanted to play at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, we'll just see how well he controls himself and his temperament. Was he out too early? Has he peaked too soon? Has he frightened himself too soon? Well, it will be revealed.
Will be revealed to the eyes of our on-course commentators, who will be out there all afternoon, all 18 holes with the leaders today in the British Open. Our on-course commentators who earlier recorded some thoughts and gave illustrations for you. Why don't we take a look at those, starting with Bob Rosberg.
I'm standing here at the first fairway of the old course at St. Andrews, getting ready to play a pitch over the Swilken Burn. The first hole is a comparatively easy hole. It looks like a cinch to make a 3, but anytime you're playing this hole downwind, you have a very tough pitch. It's hard to stop the ball on the green. Now let's go over to Ed Sneed at the 11th hole.
Thanks, Rossi. There are many difficult bunkers here at St. Andrews. Perhaps none of them are more formidable than the famous Strath bunker here at number 11. With this nearly vertical wall of over 6 feet high, a player that finds himself near the base of this wall will probably not be able to play the ball out of the bunker in 1 stroke. The best a player can hope for is a good lie and to be back in the middle of the bunker. If you get out of this bunker in 1 stroke, you've beaten the game. Now let's go to Jerry Pate.
Thank you, Eddie. I'm standing behind the 17th where the very famous road hole gets its name. As you can see, my ball has come to rest on this artificially surfaced lane. Now, there's a lot of ways to play this shot, but I think the best way is to putt it. Try to roll the ball up this slope onto the green. Now, I got lucky today the first try, but a lot of players won't. Now, let's go back up to Jim McKay.
All right, and back to the first tee as we commence with the live coverage. The first hole is the short par 4. They say it's the widest fairway in the world, serving both the first and the 18th holes. It looks like nothing. It looks absolutely simple, a big wide green to hit to. But there is the Swilken Burn, that little tiny stream guarding the green. I think it's one of the subtlest holes in golf, Peter.
Yes, it is, just as you say, 370 yards. Playing today just, well, you can see using an iron from the tee. No point in risking going into the water. This is Craig Perry, good player.
Peter, he's hit that ball down the left-hand side of the fairway here toward the bridge, as he did yesterday, I think for a little better angle into the pin.
What seems to be the emotional feeling of this pair, Ed?
Well, Jim, pain, I think, is very, very serious. A little tight. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think he believes he has a chance to win this golf tournament.
Okay, here is Payne Stewart in his usual colorful attire.
New England Patriots, is that?
I think it's the Patriots
Is
today.
it?
Yes.
Yes. I'm up in all that sort of stuff.
Okay, take off. Okay.
Well, you see it.
Good shot.
Very good. Okay, and so the penultimate pair, the next to last pairing of the day, are off the first tee. What a long way we have to go. We'll be hearing about the game of golf and history of the sport and of St. Andrews from time to time today. The voice will be that of our BBC colleague, Renton Laidlaw.
From about 110 yards, Jim, well past the flag, safely on.
Okay, is Ed Snead on the fairway? Swilken Burn. Crowd lining the golf course all the way out. It'll be well over 40,000 again, probably today. It has been each of the last 2 days. Expecting a total of about 200,000 people to witness this golf tournament on the premises. Here's Craig Parry, 24-year-old Australian. Very refreshing personality. Okay, lovely shot.
Beautiful shot.
Craig Parry, I don't know whether you heard him yesterday, Peter, but, well, we'll tell that in a minute. Here's Ian Woosnam.
From about 70 yards, little knockdown wedge shot.
That's Jerry Pate out with him.
Ian got off to a good start with a birdie on the first, but then came back with a 3-putt on number 2.
So he still stands at 9 under for the championship, 8 shots off the lead.
The pin positions here today, Jim, are as difficult as I've ever seen them. They're behind ridges, tucked into corners, and anyone who tries to go and play too aggressively could well succeed or come to total grief.
Turn left.
Corey Pavin has come to life in this championship, playing with Woosnam today. Corey at 10 under in a tie for 5th place right now. 2 under for today. There's how they stand. Faldo, of course, has still not teed off. Payne Stewart still playing the first hole. Baker Finch will be playing with Faldo. There you see Craig Parry. Here's a look down at the first tee. They do things much more informally over here, it seems to me, particularly at St. Andrews, Peter. The first tee isn't a very formal thing. It's just a well-mowed piece of ground. You know?
Well, Jim, it's been there for a long time, and just in front of the old clubhouse windows and down, as you say, down this extraordinary bit of grass, which is 2 fairways wide, not a bunker in sight, and the little stream, the Swilken Burn, that runs and winds its way across the fairway. It's been tidied up over the years. When I first came here, the banks were all rugged and stony, and they've tidied it up, put railway ties and sleepers, whatever you wish to call them, around to hold the banks up. It's much more groomed than it was 30, 40 years ago.
Well, for example, they do have a watering system now, right? Which
Yes, many
never
don't
used to
like
have.
it.
I know that. Are you among them?
No, I think I'm a great believer. If you turn everything into a desert, not much grows. If you leave it to Mother Nature, it tends to turn to a jungle. So I think it needs Mother Nature needs a little help.
Payne Stewart attired in what one British newspaper called a parody of the traditional dress for the game.
It's not the New England Patriots, is it? It's the NFL mixture, is it?
It's generic red, white, and blue deal.
Slightly partisan, I feel.
You see, he was second in 1985. The current PGA champion, remember.
I think he may well have his name on this trophy before he hangs up his boots. Good try.
If he can get that putter going today, which he'll have to, he still has a chance, tied for second place. Yesterday, he played extremely well, but did miss a number of birdie opportunities as far as putting was concerned. Here's Corey Pavin now at 10 under. Looking for his 3rd birdie in a row.
Just didn't give it enough juice. Well, of course, with Faldo's 5-shot lead, Jim, if he can just play a nice round, and under these conditions today, I see no reason why he shouldn't do a 70. It means that someone has to do an extraordinarily good score to catch him. But it'll be a fascinating study to see how he goes about it.
Now, Parry. Young golfers in this championship. Parry's 24. Young Paul Broadhurst, who shot 63 yesterday, the Englishman, he's 24. Olafabo is 24. There is a new generation coming.
Yes, they are. And, of course, Australia's produced good golfers for many, many years. You see, that's just the sort of thing. That's not to say he may not birdie the second or the third, but if you're going to make a run when you're 6 shots behind, you feel as if an opportunity comes along. If you don't take it, well, they just slip away. This is where all the mental battle goes on in golf. It's not physical, it's mental, controlling yourself and just getting the job done well as we drift back to the first tee by the old clubhouse, one of the most famous views in golf, to find the final pair. This is a nice pairing for Faldo, because Ian Baker Finch is well, he plays a lot of golf, as you know, in the United States, and he played well over the last few weeks there. He's a tall, elegant man and a gentle man, so there won't be any niggly aggression. He won't be doing anything that might upset Faldo, you know, swinging, practice swinging when you're getting ready to shoot, or just that 3 or 4 yards too close to you when you want to play, which is very important. It's a good pairing for Faldo.
Baker Finch, of course, made a great run at this championship on this golf course in 1984, going into the last round. Shot 79 after having one draw back into the burn, right, Peter?
Yes,
on this hole.
One bounce forward at the first, and it could have gone very close, but it spun back in the water, and he ended up with a 79. But you'll hear tremendous applause when they go down. The final pair going past the gallery as they move down to the first.
They were waiting for someone to play second shots on 18, if you're wondering. It's a joint fairway. 18 has the right-of-way, right?
This is the final game of the 119th
There it is.
Open Championship. On the tee, Ian Baker Finch.
That's Ivor Robson, our official starter, who's been doing this job at every professional tournament that we have here since 1975.
Bob Rosberg is with this group.
That is right down the middle of the fairway. He did not choose to go to the left, or did not choose to lay back very far. That's one of the longest drives I've seen all day, although he was laying up, but the ball went a long ways.
Payne Stewart made his par on the first. And now, Faldo.
Yeah. Also right down the middle, well short of Baker Finch's. 90 yards. Hole cut 8 yards over the Swilken Burn.
Only 24 feet to work with after you go over that water, eh? Oh, this may set the tenor of the day.
Well, it may do. We may be watching a whole new sort of way of playing the game of golf. He doesn't have the most electrifying personality in the world, but he gets the job done. They said that of Ben Hogan, didn't they? He was let my clubs do the talking, or whatever it was. And
Scots dubbed him the wee Iceman when he came over and won at Carnoustie. Craig Parry's second shot at the second hole.
Just a wedge, Jim, from 110 yards.
411-yard par 4. Yes, Ed.
You must keep the ball to the left of the hole here. Any shot to the right of that could run down in a swale, making a very difficult putt.
Well, he did it. Now, there are 7 double greens here. In other words, 7 greens serve 14 of the holes. The second green is shared with the 16th, for example. Yellow flags going out, red ones coming back. Even so, in the British Open one year, no less than Lee Trevino hit to the wrong flag. All right.
That was from 60 yards. A little tougher to stop it when you can't hit a full shot. Nick laid back far enough that he could spin the ball a little better and played a superb shot.
Here's some pretty scary putts from the back there, too, aren't they?
Yes, certainly.
Payne Stewart, second shot on 2.
This is from about 90 yards, and he's using his sand wedge. Land the ball short. Beautiful pace on this shot. That's a Scottish shot, Peter.
Yeah. I say the flags are in difficult places today, Ed. They're tucked away. You've got to be bold and skillful and a bit lucky today if you're going to consistently put the ball near the flag.
There's the famous Cheap's bunker, Peter.
Yeah, the whole family used to come in there, and of course they have the rights to dig for sand and shells on the course. I think that old title still exists today. It'd be a bit disruptive, wouldn't it, if they suddenly arrived with the trucks to dig a few sands up today.
Our first look at the 24-year-old Englishman who shot 63 yesterday, Paul Broadhurst, on the 3rd hole. He's at 10 under.
He started with a couple of pars. You see, he's a new player. He damaged his hand about a year ago. He's been out of the game for several months. He had to have an operation on it. And he's a very good prospect. He comes from a small town in the Midlands near Birmingham called Atherstone, where the brothers Hunt, Bernard and Geoffrey Hunt, came from. And so he's got a lot of talent, Broadhurst.
Just made the cut.
Yep.
And in fact, that night called up to see if he had made the cut, and coming out of a telephone booth, he banged his head. He got himself a bit of a shiner.
Yeah, I think that's the story he's telling his mum.
All right. Again, the leaderboard. Nick Faldo now with a chance at a birdie already. This is going to be something historic to watch today, I think. And you see the others. David Graham, a former U.S. Open champion. Jody Mudd up there. Sandy Lyle is finally playing well again.
Yeah, well, he's showing a bit of return to form. It's very hard to get back into it when you've been in the doldrums for so long.
David Graham, in fact, shot 66 today. There's Lee Trevino at 5 under, almost finished his round.
Good championship he's had.
Yeah, hasn't he? Except for a double bogey on 16 and a bogey on 17 yesterday. He'd be even further up the board. Ray Floyd. Craig Parry on the 2nd hole. The birdie attempt.
Had a good chance at the first, which just slipped away. Oh, he's a long way off. You saw how far he had to swing the putter back there, and he's got it down within a couple of feet.
Ian Baker Finch back on the 1st hole.
This is really 2-putt range here, Jim. If you go, there's 17 more holes to go after this. You really don't want to open up by making a mistake on this 1st hole. Just roll it down. If it falls in, fine. That's part of the art of playing golf. There have been hundreds of good strikers over the years, but how many clinical artists you can count them on sort of 2 pairs of hands.
So Ian Baker Finch, half a world away from his home in Australia, makes a par on the 1st hole. If you've just joined us, we're on the old course at St Andrews, Scotland. ABC, the 30th year in a row, bringing you the British Open, live coverage of all 18 holes today of the most famous golf course in the world. This should really be a pleasant afternoon for us all. Faldo with a very makeable birdie putt to start off the day. He's 5 shots ahead of Payne Stewart and of Baker Finch.
And what a start it would be, Jim. I mean, he's got to be, even though he's the Iceman, he's got to be nervous, but he's got himself into a mental state, I think, over the last couple of years, where he actually physically enjoys the competition. It's like a boxer who doesn't feel the pain.
All right. A birdie for the leader. He goes to 18 under par. A 6-shot lead over Stewart and Ian Baker Finch. What a start. There's his caddy, Fanny Sunesson, a fine player in her own right, the only female caddy on the European tour. Am I correct, Peter?
Well, there are a couple.
Couple others?
Yeah, there are a couple, but they're not thick on the ground, as they say.
Watch this on tape. An long eagle attempt by Peter Jacobsen on the 5th hole, the par 5, and he's got it. He's 4 under for the day and suddenly 12 under for the championship.
He's a specialist in that. He held an enormous putt on the 17th for a 3, which is only a birdie in the previous round. Must have been all of 90 feet.
So he moves into a tie for 2nd place. There's the Old Course Hotel and Golf Club, as I believe they call it now, in the background. That wasn't there at all when we first came to St. Andrews in 1961. They were just the old railroad sheds, Peter.
Yep. The station master's house. Faldo, what a good start. Birdied the first, 6 ahead of the field, tee shot at the 2nd.
Yeah.
Now, there it is. An early thank you to our colleagues of the BBC. Your lads, Peter, much of the coverage that we're seeing here today, most of the coverage we're seeing here today, you have concentration of Faldo, Parry, Baker Finch, I should say. Again, very solidly hit. 3rd hole that Payne Stewart has just hit on tape, of course. 3rd hole, 371-yard par 4.
It's going to have a good angle to the pin, Jim, up the right center of the fairway.
What's the wind out there, Ed?
Well, Jim, it's died down. I was out on the golf course earlier this morning, and it was quite windy around 10 o'clock. But it's died down a bit. It's not blowing very hard. Still behind the players on the first few holes.
Okay. There you see the Principal's Nose, a famous bunker. Now back to Nick Faldo. 2nd shot on the 411-yard 2nd hole.
He has a shot of 140 yards. As Ed said, the wind not blowing too hard now. Kept it to the left of the hole.
Yeah, we're looking for it. There it is. Quite long, Peter.
Yes, but he's all right there. He's birdied the first. If he gets a 4 at the second, gets a birdie every 3rd or 4th hole and doesn't have any bogeys, he'll be all right.
I'm not sure if that on his sweater is a golfer or a samurai warrior. I don't.
It looks pretty good. That's the new line of gear that he's entered. It's been very successful.
I guess most things he'll do for the foreseeable future will be. Ian Baker Finch.
That could be one
Will come down.
The weight of the balls.
Ah, look at this.
Could go in.
What a shot. Ian Baker Finch will have a tap in to go 13 under for the championship.
Got a touch of the Warren Beatty's about him, hasn't he?
A little bit.
Do you think? No?
Yeah,
Well, maybe a younger version.
As you said, very placid disposition fellow, easy to get along with.
Yes, he's been working with David Ledbetter, who's done all this work with Faldo, so I'm sure Ledbetter will have mixed emotions watching them battle away.
Payne Stewart, 3rd hole. Left of the pin, and here we come to it. There. Back to the leader, Nick Faldo. Long putt here.
It's from about 25 feet, Jim. Coming back against the wind will not be real quick.
The wind is a factor on putting here. Okay?
Well, as Bob said, it's a little slow. The greens aren't as quick as they used to be. The artificial watering system and slowed them down a bit.
On the 8th, Greg Norman, who shot a pair of 66s, and then yesterday had it all come apart, shot a 76. 8th hole, 178-yard par 3.
That's a good shot, perfect distance.
This green shared with the 10th hole, another of all the many double greens. Now Faldo for the par.
Rattles them in.
Yeah,
he's a great friend of at least Greg Norman's a great friend of Nigel Mansell, and I can't help thinking the racing driver Mansell, that their careers are so much the same, Norman and Mansell. He's not making any great move today, Greg Norman.
No.
And you wonder whether he's going to be destined to be very successful, but not win the great events.
Corey Pavin, playing well today, has a problem at the 5th hole, his second shot, and he's gotten it out, and that's about all you can do. Par 5 hole, so could be forgiving. They're the famous Birdies, but they're pretty much over on the 13th hole.
Yes, they are. Craig Wood supposedly drove this green in the 30s with a gale force wind behind.
Ian Baker Finch tapped in for his birdie. He's now 5 shots behind. Dane Stewart. Nope. Trails by 6 at the moment, even par for the day. He plays this hole. I have a report that Jody Mudd of the United States has gone 4 under on his last 5 holes. It's the par, and Steve Pate, another American, is 5 under on his last 7 holes. Both Mudd and Pate are 10 under for the championship. A few moves being made here, but by people who are further back so far. Peter Jacobsen, for example, tied for 3rd place. He's 4 under for the day. Second shot at the 6th hole. 416-yard par 4, and what a beauty.
Yeah, lovely shot.
Ian Baker Finch, 3rd hole.
Baker Finch looks to be getting through the ball much more aggressively. He's hitting at the ball and through the ball much more than he did a couple of seasons ago. Finishes nicely balanced, too.
That's a beautiful drive right in the middle of the fairway.
Jack was talking about religion. You know, someone once said that if it wasn't for religion, there couldn't have been such a game as golf. And he said, why? And he said, you play in Scotland. The caddy is always saying you'll play it just to the left of the church steeple or just to the right of the church steeple.
Now Faldo.
Yes. This man shows no signs of shaking. Greg Norman with this long birdie attempt a moment ago at the 8th hole, the par 3. It's 7 under par at this moment.
It's one of those weeks for him, I think, after a great start.
463-yard par 4, Payne Stewart.
Jim, that's very long right down the left side of the fairway. He should have a good shot, but he needs to make some birdies to take advantage of this.
Ian Baker Finch, 3rd.
This is a shot of about 80 yards. Hit a very long drive. Beautifully played.
I'd say he's off to a good start, huh? On tape, Peter Jacobsen for a birdie at the 6th hole.
Oh. No, but he held a monster at the last one, so I suppose it evens up at the end of the day.
Yep.
You never think so if you're a player.
Now the leader. Second shot at the 3rd.
He has exactly the same shot that Baker Finch had. They weren't 2 yards apart. Same line, same everything. About 55 yards to the front edge of the green, and the hole was cut 36 deep in this green.
become a veritable golfing machine, hasn't
Yes,
it?
it has.
Roger Twibell, a little bit earlier, talked to his guru, as they call him, David Ledbetter. Here's what they had to say.
What is Nick Faldo's technique? What is the key for him out there, and what has turned his game around and made him the great champion?
Well, I think, you know, over the last couple of years, he's really started to believe in himself, and obviously, you know, winning the Open in '87 and subsequently winning the last 2 Masters has really given him so much confidence, and I think he's really starting to believe just how good he really is. And everybody said he's a great player, and he's starting to prove it now.
You're a tall man yourself. You work with Nick Faldo. He's a tall man. Ian Baker Finch, he's a tall man. Is there anything there? Because tall men have always had trouble playing this game.
Yeah, well, you look through history, and really haven't been a great deal of many tall players. Weisskopf, right, Andy Bean, you know, and a couple of other players. But generally speaking, I think, you know, players feel they can relate maybe to a taller teacher. And but once, I think, basically, if you're working on basics, you're teaching pretty much the same thing to every player, although tall players do have their own particular problems.
It used to be, David, the player...
He come to life in this championship. Haven't heard too much about him for 2 or 3 years.
Well, he didn't waste much time picking up the tee peg there, and that's the reason why. Right down the middle.
Craig Parry on the 4th hole.
Very long shot here, Jim. About 190 yards, and the flagstick is cut right behind that bunker. I just don't see how he could get very close to the hole. He played it out to the right, and he's about flag high, the only thing he could have done.
The young Australian moves on.
Now, the more you play to the left today on most of these holes, the more difficult the line into the flag will be. This is a day for pushing it down the right if you can. Faldo first at the 3rd for a birdie.
A look at the double greens situation, the 3rd and the 15th. Very simple to figure that out. Always adds up to 18. Ooh, not too far off, sure. But a par for Faldo, keeping him at 1 under for the day, 18 under for the championship. The record for the championship is 268, set by Tom Watson that memorable day at Turnberry when he and Jack Nicklaus battled it out to the last shot. Faldo will need a 68 today to break that record. Payne Stewart.
Payne is on the same line that Craig had, but he's much closer, about 50 yards past Craig. And he has probably only a wedge from this distance. It's about 140 yards downwind. Well, you can see that ball didn't stop very well. It's going to roll back. Well, it stopped behind the flagstick.
Moving back to Ian Baker Finch's birdie attempt.
Well, 2 opportunities missed there, Jim.
Yeah. So here he made it 13 under, still 5 shots behind. None of the other leaders making a real big move at Faldo yet.
You think of all the golf courses you know, not many you can play backwards.
No. Norman at the 9th, 8 under. Imagine he's 10 shots behind, and he was tied for the lead when they started yesterday.
Yeah, 66, 66, then suddenly a 76.
Yep.
Well, that's the way it's been for him.
Yep.
And I was saying before, when we were looking at Nick Faldo, that his career is very similar to that of Nigel Mansell. Both of them very successful, but just somehow elude the great, great, great championship. There's the 4th hole, and famous bunkers dotted all around. Dangerous hole, this.
463 yards. Yardages don't mean too much here.
Could be trouble.
Yep, he's found a bunker. So the man chasing Faldo has found the first trouble of that pair.
He won't know it either yet. He probably thinks that's okay.
Most of the bunkers invisible to the golfers from the tee here.
The architecture here is very interesting, Jim. When you think this course has been here hundreds of years, and bunkers and undulations and things haven't been put in with D8s and bulldozers.
No.
Just happened, and it's still a lot here for modern architects to marvel at.
That ball is all right. Well to the left. Played it way down the left-hand side. Not quite as far as you normally drive. Might have been a 3-wood.
The 8th tee, the par 3. Peter Jacobsen at 12 under and 4 under for the day.
Ow. Don't cut it into the wind.
Okay, there he is. Hitting into the wind. Corey Pavin with a birdie attempt at the 6th hole. Corey 3 under for the day as he made this putt, as he attempted to make it, and did. So Pavin now 11 under after 6 holes. Craig Parry, young Australian.
The hole's very reachable today, Jim.
It's the par 5 hole. Ed Snead indicating it's reachable in 2 shots. It's birdie or eagle territory. Just play it right.
He is down the left side and should have a reasonable shot at the green.
And there it is. It's sitting up rather nicely there. In the light rough, Payne Stewart. Payne Stewart on the 5th, 564 yards.
Payne's a bit longer than Craig, and he will have to play more to the right if he's going to keep the ball in the fairway here.
There it is, bounding along, hitting these little mounds, going past that rock in the middle of the fairway.
That's well reachable, and he should have a good angle with the flagstick on the right side of the green.
Well, there is a look at this hole. The Beardies, as we said, come more into play on the 13th, the 14th hole. Now back to the 4th hole and Faldo.
That was from 190 yards. Nick was over in the middle of the 15th fairway.
Whoops. He caught a bunker. The first chink in the armor of the Masters champion. He said he's become a veritable golfing machine. We hardly seen him make a mistake the whole week here.
Well, there you see, Jimmy, this course, you've got tons of room on the left. That's where Faldo played, but he had a virtually impossible second shot. He had to come over the corner, over that bunker, pitching on a downslope, no shot.
Do you see any sign of him trying to play it safe?
Well, you've got to attack
sometime be at that disaster.
You must attack and defend. That's what, using your head, or heed, as they say here.
Baker Finch in the bunker.
He had a very tough shot. The ball was well below his feet. He was about 190 yards, didn't have a whole lot of chance.
So both leaders with a problem here.
If Faldo's ball's not plugged, he'll have a relatively simple bunker shot, but it could be unplayable, of course.
Now on tape, Peter Jacobsen's birdie putt on the 8th hole. It's a good putt from there. So there it is, the 5-shot lead for Nick Faldo over Ian Baker Finch, 6 over Peter Jacobsen and Payne Stewart of the United States. Our thanks now to Peter Alliss, who must go not to his rest or his refreshment, but to more work at the BBC, his home mother network. Peter, it's always great to be with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jim. Always a delight. I'll see you at the PGA Championship. Bye-bye all.
So long. And now 8 time zones from L.A., 7 time zones from Denver, 6 from Chicago, 5 from New York, and a world away. We're going to move across to Roger Twibell and Dave Marr. Roger?
Okay, thank you very much, Jim. As you looked at that leaderboard, there has been a little bit of Yank bashing here this week. Where have the Americans gone? But last count, there were 5 Americans in the top 10, so they've picked it up a little bit. But Nick Faldo playing with much confidence. He said before today's round, David, that he was thinking of birdies and not just making pars. But I guess the question is, what happened to Greg Norman?
Well, it looked like a great match coming up yesterday with the pairing. The number 1 ranked and number 2 ranked player in the world. and the #1 player blinked. Greg Norman shot 76, and of course Faldo shot 67. Now, to me, there's got to be something wrong with those rankings, rather, because if Nick Faldo should win the tournament here today, he would still not be ranked #1 by the Sony rankings. Now, it sounds to me as if something's wrong if they're 1-2 and the other guy wins and he's not moved to #1. Yeah. But, of course, if Faldo doesn't happen to win this tournament, it's a strange thing that goes on over here as far as I'm concerned. For some reason, the British press does not like Nick Faldo. They will absolutely murder him in the press, and I don't think that's fair because he has become a world-class player. He outworks everybody. I'm not surprised he was out there 5 hours ahead of the round today. He did the same thing yesterday and went out and shot 67.
Well, they used to call him Nicky Faldo, but not anymore today. He is with a 5-shot lead as we look at Craig Perry.
That's from about 260 yards, Roger. Flagstick back on this green. Carried right on the green. He's well to the left of the hole.
Plenty of hole.
Second shot at the par 5, the only par 5 on the outward 9 here at the Old Course. Perry from outside of Melbourne, Australia. The Australians, at least Baker Finch and Perry, carrying the medal there as we go down to Ian Baker Finch's 3rd shot at the 4th hole.
Very tough pitch here. Boy, this was a tough pitch. If he gets this one close, it's a miracle.
Actually not bad, Bob.
No, that's about as well as he could have played the shot.
Now on the tee at 9 is Peter Jacobsen. 356-yard par 4. The loop, David, is where you expect to pick up a few shots.
Where you better pick some up because of the finish. It's a very short par 4, but again, bunkers, get into them, you have lots of problems.
Peter's at 4 under on his round and 12 under for the championship. Has been working here with Sam Torrance's father this week rather extensively.
Sam Torrance, of course, being a very fine Scottish player.
Now, Nick Faldo, 3rd shot at 4.
Very short bunker shot, only maybe 18 feet from his ball to the hole. Well played.
Rossi, first bunker he's been in this week.
Well, he did a pretty good job out of it. It was an almost impossible shot to get it within 10 feet, and that's about where he put it, was 10 feet.
Well, in his last 16 rounds, British Opens, he's shot par or better. And Nick Faldo, you ask what kind of bunker player he is. Well, he hasn't been in many bunkers. It's hard to tell. That was the shot of Corey Pavin at 7. But Corey Pavin's having himself a good day. He's 3 under on his round, 11 under par for the championship. I was talking to him on the tee. He had just a sleeveless sweater, a light shirt on.
Yes, it's more.
I said, what are you doing? He goes, look it, man. He says, it needs to be 20 degrees colder before I go to the long sleeve sweater. So the weather here earlier in the day looked like it was going to really kick up a little bit as you take a look at Corey there. But actually not too bad outside right now. It's lightened up just a little bit. Sun's starting to break through.
That's what you're out there playing, Roger. You get a lot warmer than if you're just standing there watching someone. So it doesn't surprise me a little bit, even though he has moved to Orlando. That is a little bit different temperature down there.
Well, he was happy to be playing with Ian Woosnam today. He said now he could look down on somebody who he was playing with. Now, Payne Stewart, 2nd shot at the 5th hole.
Roger, that was a 4-iron from about 200 yards to the front of the green and about 240 to the flagstick.
That's a beautiful shot by Payne.
Very, very makeable.
So, Payne Stewart with an eagle opportunity.
And you just heard Ed Snead say he hit a 4-iron. So just to give you some idea of what the wind does do here, 564, and he hit a driver and a 4-iron to this hole, this par 5. There are only 2 par 5s on the whole course and only 2 par 3s. That's something in itself unusual on a par 72 hole, 72 golf course.
Now, Ian Baker Finch taking a look at this par putt. He is right now 5 shots back of Faldo, who also has a par putt on this hole.
beautiful.
Oh, he's got a lovely short game.
Ooh, did everything but go in, but that just shows you when you drive in these bunkers here, you're just very, very lucky, or you have to have a great shot to be able to make a par.
He's one of the best putters in the PGA Tour. We saw him early this year at the Tournament of Champions and at Kemper a few weeks back. He finished second, got it up and down. It seemed like out of every bunker. There you see the assigned to Leven, where our Ed Sneed shot 68-68 at the links up there and missed the playoff by 1 to try to qualify for the British Open. About 25 minutes away. You can go out of any road out of this town and you can find a golf course within about 15 or 20 minutes from the old course here at St. Andrews. As we move back and Granny Clark Swine, the folks walking across there, as we see Corey Pavin now for birdie at 7.
From about 18 feet. Just didn't quite get it there, Raj.
Corey's kind of a streaky player, isn't it, Jerry?
He's playing extremely well today, and of course he's a very underrated putter. I think he's one of the best putters on the tour. He's hitting the ball well today and keeping it in play. He's 3 under par, 11 under for the championship.
This is Nick Faldo for par, and he misses. So Nick Faldo with a bogey, and that'll drop him to 17 under for this championship. And right now, a 5-shot lead, as of course Baker Finch missed his par putt, but Payne Stewart at 5 with a putt for eagle. So David, we could have a swing here of a few shots.
Could get a couple more. Payne could get within 3 strokes if he should make his. Of course, Nick hasn't yet played the par 5. He's playing so short.
Faldo with just his 3rd bogey in the tournament. His other bogeys were both at 17.
It's gotten a lot of people. Some people would settle for bogey at 17.
Now, Peter Jacobsen a few moments ago at the 9th hole. Second shot. See that pin cut way to the left.
Wind a little bit left to right there too, so you don't want to pull that ball over to the left. If you miss it, it's got to stay to the right.
Look from above. Crowds of better than 50,000 expected out here at the old course as we go to Payne Stewart and his putt for eagle at 5.
Not much movement to this putt, Roger. He should be able to give this one a good run, and he needs something like this to happen.
This to pull within 3 of Faldo. Well, he'll get 1 on him. Stewart will move to 13 under and 4 shots back with that short putt for birdie. And his first of the day. His mother called him last night, David, and said, Payne, if you don't start finishing those putts, I'm not going to watch you today. So hopefully she stayed in on to the 5th hole.
I'm sure his mother's watching. Don't worry.
Out in Springfield, Missouri, as we go to Baker Finch on the tee at 5. You see how he's played this whole birdie, birdie, eagle, 4 under, 3 days.
That's a good drive down the left-hand side. Just perfect.
Ian Baker Finch, who lives in the Orlando area for most of the year, originally, of course, from Queensland in Australia, and Nick Faldo. So, our final group, Faldo and Ian Baker Finch off the tee at the par 5 5th hole. And Faldo and Finch both coming off bogeys, but Nick Faldo with a 4-shot lead. And Nick Faldo with just his 3rd bogey of the tournament at the 4th hole. Payne Stewart with a birdie at the par 5 5th. He's pulled within 4 as we look at Corey Pavin for birdie at number 8.
Just needs to hurry a little bit. Oh, a beautiful putt.
And a few moments ago at the 9th hole, Peter Jacobsen This putt for birdie at the par 4. One of the short holes in the loop, 356 yards. Very close for Peter, who's at 12 under, 4 under on his round today. And there they are, jammed into somebody's hotel room. That was a pretty good deal, that even at, say, maybe about 250 pounds a night, David, when you get about 20 guys together.
Well, that's the good news, Roger. That's bad news is I think that's your room.
I think you might be right. No, I'm on the first floor. They wouldn't put me up high. Now, Nick Faldo at the 5th hole. It's the hole of cross out, a par 5, the only one going out.
Nick has hit a tremendous drive. He has 190 yards to the front edge of the green. The hole cut 40 deep, so he's 230 right to the flagstick. Wind not blowing as hard right now as it has all week. It is really died down.
Bob Payne Stewart hit a 4-iron in there just a few moments ago.
Well, I would think that would be the club Nick would hit. Wind swinging around a little to the right. It's definitely behind the players, but it's also out of the right. Seems like he's used the right club every time this week. He rarely has misclubbed.
Nick has birdied this hole the 3 previous days. Has been the easiest hole on the golf course in the championship. That golf ball still rolling, and he's going to have a long putt for eagle. Before was Ian Baker Finch's second shot. And Baker Finch up on the green. And Baker Finch with an eagle putt. Frank Hannigan had a chance to speak with Ian.
Why do you love this course so?
I guess the history of the course is what it's all about. The Royal and Ancient, just everything that you ever read about. It just, I don't know, it brings all of those images to me. Plus, I guess the '84 Open, when I did so well, I fell in love with the course then and the playing of it. And a lot of reasons, but at the moment they're the main ones. The history and the way I played the last time, and I guess the way I've played this time as well. I love the style of the course.
Now, Australia, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have as many people as California. How come you produce so many terrific golfers?
I'm not really sure. A lot of people ask us that, why there's so many good Australian players. I guess we have a good junior system that breeds them, you know, from a good young age. We've had some great golfers in the past that we've been able to look up to, as in Peter Thompson and David Graham, Graham Marsh, Greg Norman now, who's #1 player in the world. So it gives us all that feeling that we can do it too.
A few moments ago, Payne Stewart. Second shot at 6.
From 90 yards, Roger, with a sand wedge.
He's got it in there nicely, Ed. The Heathery hole, 416-yard par 4.
Which you see the coffins there on the left. Those bunkers come into play coming down the hole on the back 9 to the left. When they say you can just play left and be okay here, that's not necessary, because the short route to a lot of these holes is down the right side. The safe route or safer route may be the left, but it creates a little bit of a problem a lot of times on your second shot.
And let's update you on some of the scores right now. And you see Jody Mudd there at 12 under. He's birdied 6 of the last 8 holes. He is at 12 under par for the championship. Also at 12, of course, Paul Broadhurst and Craig Perry, Ian Baker Finch. And at 11, Woosnam, McNulty, Pavin, Sandy Lyle at 10, along with Steve Pate. Donnie Hammond also at 10 under. Greg Norman's come back just a bit. He is at 9 under par, along with Ola Thobel and David Graham. And the golfer from Fiji, Vijay Singh at 8 under. Steve Jones is completed at 7. Lee Trevino, 5 under for the championship. Azinger had it going earlier today, but he's at 5 under right now, along with Crenshaw. Robert Gamez also at 5 under. Larry Mize at 4. McCumber, all those players have finished. Greg Powers with a good British Open at 4 under. Raymond Floyd at 3 under for this championship. Mike Reed's come back a little bit today. He's at 3 under through 14. Scott Simpson finished up along with Andy North and Don Pooley, all at 3 under par. Bernard Longer and Mark O'Meara, those players at 2 under. Hale Irwin, U.S. Open champion, at 1 under par. And then Blaine McAllister at even. And Jack Nicklaus at +1 in this championship. As we go to Peter Jacobsen for eagle at 10. This is a 342-yard par 4. Peter has made some long putts this week. How long is this putt? It's still rolling. And what a beautiful putt by Jacobsen. That will give him a short birdie putt. And this is Ian Baker Finch for eagle at 5.
You know it's not too close when the caddy doesn't take that pin out of the hole.
He's got himself about 3.5, 4 feet left. Jacobsen will move to 13 under and be in a tie for second with Payne Stewart when he taps in that short putt. Also Nick Faldo here at this 5th hole with a long eagle putt.
Faldo has a putt of about 50 feet. His ball came to rest very close to that of one of the players playing 13, and the player playing 13 has a putt of about 130 feet, I would say.
And while we wait for Faldo, we'll go to Payne Stewart, and this is for birdie at 6. Got it. Payne Stewart now at 14 under and 3 shots back of Faldo at this moment. 2 under on his round today. Now, Nick Faldo for eagle at 5.
Uh-oh.
So Faldo with some work left for his birdie, as does Ian Baker Finch at that par 5 5th hole, which is played the easiest of all 18 here at the Old Course this week at St. Andrews. Jacobsen with just a very short putt for birdie to move to 13 under. And as Faldo takes a look there, here is the short birdie putt for Peter Jacobsen at 10. And Peter is 5 under on his round today. He's 4 shots back of Nick Faldo. Jacobsen with rounds of 68, 70, and 70.
Made a lot of birdies this week.
Sure has.
Are they called bobbies in Scotland also, or just in England, I wonder?
You got me on that one, David, as we go to Faldo for birdie at the 5th hole. And around and in, and he has birdied that hole every day. And Faldo gets back to 18 under.
With the wind, even though it's 564, that just becomes a long par 4 for them after a good drive.
Payne Stewart at the 7th hole.
That ball is in good position, Roger. It hit short in this swale, but it bounced safely out into the center of the fairway.
372 yard. Par 4 is number 7, called the high out hole. Now on the tee at 11, this is Peter Jacobsen. 11, the short par 3, 172 yards.
much left. Yeah. Ah. Oh.
Well, you heard Peter say not too much left. That has gone over the green, down into that swale, and sitting in some light rough there. So pumped up after that birdie. A little too strong at the par 3 11th.
Well, of course, if you pull it or hook it a little bit, it's going right with the wind then. I'm sure he was trying to play a left to right rather than a shot carrying with the wind.
Jacobson did that same thing yesterday at the par 3. This is Jody Mudd. This is for birdie for Mudd at 15, and Jody Mudd is now 7 under on his round today, 13 under for the championship, and he has birdied 7 of the last 9 holes.
So he's taken apart the hard part of the course so
He
far.
is. Jody had a 66 in the second round after opening up with a 72. Also had a 72 yesterday, as Nick Faldo right now leads Stewart by 4 and Jacobson by 5, but Peter has some problems at the par 3 11th. Jody Mudd has made the best move of the day. He is at 7 under and right now at 13 under for the championship. Baker Finch is at 12 under along with Craig Perry and Paul Broadhurst, as Baker Finch now with the birdie at 5. So Ian Baker Finch at 13 under, and we go to the 6th hole. Nick Faldo. Well, you might have heard Ian Baker Finch say good swing there. That has been said a lot this week by the playing partners of Nick Faldo. He leads this 119th British Open Championship by 4 over Payne Stewart here at St. Andrews, where the skies have started to clear. And this a moment ago, Peter Jacobson's second shot, par 3.
A little surprised by that shot, Roger, because he is pitching back against the wind. I know he didn't have a lot of green, but that's quite a way away for a shot that was that short.
Now, Ian Baker Finch, second shot at the 6th hole.
130 to the hole. Pin in a very difficult place, just over the rise.
And it's way past the pin on that 416-yard par 4, the Heathery hole.
I believe the only way you can get it close today would be to bounce it short of the hump, but I'm not sure that Faldo will try that shot. I would think he would pitch it up on top and try and get it within 15 or 20 feet.
Payne Stewart's second shot at 7.
From 90 yards, Roger.
And that is way past the pin.
I'm very surprised he didn't get it closer as well as he's been playing the sand wedge.
Now, Nick Faldo.
Another fine shot.
And Peter Jacobson missed his par putt. That was for bogey at 11, so that'll drop him back to 12 under for the championship, 4 under on his round today. And let's go now to Jack Whitaker and Jack Nicklaus.
Thank you, Roger. And Jack Williams shot a 71, 1 under today to finish at 1 over, but a birdie at 18. Ease the pain a little bit, Jack?
Not much, Jack, but a little bit. That's all right.
How's the course today?
The course conditions are almost identical. We have just a slightly stronger wind, but from identically the same direction as yesterday. The pin positions are probably as difficult as I've ever seen them in the last round of an Open Championship here in Britain. But it hasn't seemed to deter the fellows much as far as scoring. They're still shooting some low rounds, and I guess there just really isn't quite enough wind, or isn't quite enough speed, or the greens aren't quite hard enough to really prevent the guys from shooting good scores.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the consensus was that Faldo was not going to crack. Somebody was going to have to get out there and really go after him. And every time Stewart or Baker Finch or Jacobson starts, he just pushes them away. I think they better get Greg Mond's bicycle if they're going to catch him. Hmm?
Well, I think Faldo's got the back 9 to play, and obviously that's going to be the 9 that's going to decide the tournament, because if anybody can get anything going and Nick cracks it all, then you've got a tournament. Otherwise, it's Nick's all the way.
All right, Jack, we certainly look forward to your commentary later on. Let's get back now to Roger and David.
Thank you very much, Jack. That was Payne Stewart's birdie putt at the 7th hole, and a very long putt there. 7 is just 372 yards. Over on the driving range earlier today, there wasn't a player that walked by Payne that didn't have something to say about what he was wearing. And all the foreign players want to know what team it is. He said, it's no team today. It's just my basic colors. This a moment ago at 16. Second shot for Jody Mudd, who's 7 under on his round today.
Hold up.
Yeah,
it's not done yet.
As we go to the tee at 12 and Peter Jacobsen. $316-yard par 4.
He missed it way out there to the right, but it looked like he's on a bare last, so he'd be okay. It's a simple-looking little hole. You cannot see the bunkers from the tee, though. Cannot see all of them.
Ian Baker Finch at 6 for birdie. There's the 6th hole.
As you see, it's a 416-yard par 4, but playing downwind, your drive goes over those the gorse and the winds that you see. Bunkers on the left side there that you see, the coffin bunkers at 6, and they also come into play at the 13th. Fairway, just like all the others here at St. Andrews, you rarely get a level line. You can see that ridge in the green there and the pin just over that ridge, and that's what makes it so difficult to get close when you're going downwind. As Bob Rosberg just said, the only way to get close is maybe to play a bump and run into the ridge and have it just get up over it.
At one time here, the green was made of a combination of earth and heather and shells before it was finally turfed.
I'm sure in the old days they were made of a lot of things that you haven't seen lately.
Now at 7, Payne Stewart for par to remain 4 back of Faldo.
Roger, I know why he didn't hit the second shot very close. He just took that ball out of play. I think on the second shot he caught it a bit thin and maybe put a little crease in the cover. Something you and I probably do a little more often than Payne does.
On more than one occasion, I can tell you that. Payne with 3 consecutive 68s heading into this final round. This for par.
It's a good solid putt, Roger. There's a lot of golf left. He's certainly right in it.
As we go to 16 and Jody Mudd. This is for par. You can remember a few moments ago that shot that went in there and off the back of the green. So Jody remains at 7 under on his round today, the winner of the Tournament Players Championship. And a moment ago, Nick Faldo for birdie at 7. And Nick will tap that in for his par. I had a chance to talk to him, and especially about his putting. It seems to be very good of late.
Yeah, I think that's all down to the tempo. I think I struggled a couple of years ago, and really I've just got to stay aggressive with the putter. That's really what sort of my attitude with it. You know, keep you know, being aggressive. Just go for the putts. I think once you start sort of dollying them up there, then you lose the feel.
And that's what Nick said before today's round. He wasn't playing for pars, he was playing for birdies today, even with that lead that he had coming into this final round, as he now leads by 4 over Payne Stewart, by 5 over Ian Baker Finch and Jody Mudd. Craig Perry Broadhurst at 12 under, then Pavin at 11. Steve Pate at 10 under, Norman's at 9, along with Donnie Hammond. Tim Simpson at 8 under par, as he's completed the outward 9. Vijay Singh at 8 under, Nick Price and Vicente Fernandez at 7, along with Steve Jones and Mark Rowe, Rivero, Eamon Darcy, and James Spence at 6 under par, and then Azinger, Gomez, Sluman, Hulbert, Christy O'Connor Jr., Ben Crenshaw, all those players at 4 under par, including Ronan Rafferty, Greg Powers, Raymond Floyd, Mike Reed at 3 under, and Scott Simpson there along with Andy North and Sam Torrance. He with the putter resting on his chin. Hale Irwin at 1 under. Michael Allen, who got off to a good start in this championship, at 1 under par. As David, this cut this year was at 1 under.
Lowest ever in Open Championship.
Now, Payne Stewart on the tee at 8.
With a 6-iron, Roger. Playing just about 160 yards, a little against the wind. Very nice golf shot, right over top of the flag.
Now on the tee at 7, Nick Faldo. Nick Faldo leads Payne Stewart by 4, and the Lukers Air Force Base across the way.
F&G Insurance, protecting your business, home, auto, and life. US F&G, standing behind the USA. By Nike, who reminds you to just do it. And by Lincoln, what a luxury car should be.
This was a moment ago. Mark McNulty for birdie at 15. This to get him to 13 under. And McNulty is now 4 under on the inward 9. He's 13 under for this championship and 7 under, as is Jody Mudd on this Sunday. Now we're looking at Nick Faldo getting set for his 2nd shot at the 7th hole.
Nick has played over in the middle of the 12th fairway. Has a lot better angle coming in this way. The pin is way right today. He's quite a ways back, but only has a shot of maybe 120 yards. Going more into the breeze with the wind coming out of the right. Not behind him at all.
Can he stop it going in over that ridge, you think, Bob?
I think he can from this angle, Dave. Yes, he can.
I'll say he stopped it.
Hey, let's just add Tim Simpson with a hole-in-one on the 11th hole here at the Old Course to get him to 9 under. And this is Ian Woosnam for birdie at 10.
Well, he's got it going, Roger.
So Woosnam with birdies at 9 and 10. And he is now at 13 under as we go to Payne Stewart for birdie. Goodness.
We've talked about Faldo hitting a lot of good shots this week. So has Payne Stewart. He's only been in 1 bunker all week, and that was a 12 off the tee. So he's had a marvelous time hitting the ball this week.
Well, that's what the wind has not done here this week. It hasn't caused the players' tee shots to go into the bunkers.
Or seconds.
Yeah. For par. And Payne remains at 14 under and 4 shots back of Nick Faldo. It's that big double green, and we're starting to see some of those greens on courses at home. Ian Baker Finch at the 7th hole. Lovely shot by Baker Finch, who in '84, of course, had a tremendous tournament, led after the 3rd round, shot a 79 in the 4th round. As we look now at 17, and Jody Mudd's 2nd shot. Obviously hit it left off the tee there. And that is not good.
No, and that's a tough place. We've seen so many players this week. That's the only bit of tough rough on the golf course over there to the left at 17. And you've heard a lot about this hole, and if you've played it, you know just how difficult this hole is. You have to drive over the sheds and the blind area, and we'll see more of it later.
Now, Ian Woosnam at 11.
That's a 7-iron from 187, hole playing downwind. Very tough pin on the back. Don't want to go over.
And that's going to come to rest nicely about 12, 13 feet behind the pin. So Ian Woosnam now at 13 under in this championship, 4 under on his round today. He shot 68, 69, 70. And now Payne Stewart. This at the 9th tee, 356-yard par 4.
Not much trouble here, Roger, but those bunkers are about 260 yards off the tee, so you want to avoid those. Probably play just a little short.
David, he drive this hole yesterday?
No, not yesterday. The 10 is the one that they can drive. It just depends on the wind, really, whether you can drive 9 or 10, or whether you want to take the chance. And he is perfect. So he's a little too close to that bunker for my taste, but he's okay.
Now, Nick Faldo, this is for birdie. Boy, they just don't miss by much, Dave. And that's what he was talking about, his tempo and the length of his putt. Mark McNulty at 16, getting set for his second shot.
David Ledbetter's having a great tournament. This is another one of his pupils.
Oh, not quite up. Well, McNulty won the Cairns Open this year, finished second at the Scottish Open. Had himself over 225,000 pounds on the European Tour this year, so he has done rather well. And Jody Mudd in his situation at 17, the road hole, his third shot. Now he's got to come over, David, the whole bunker there too.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to play over that bunker. He's got to pick a side to go over. From where he is, it'd probably be the left side. If he carries it over that bunker, I don't see any way out of that rough he can stop it from going in the road.
He's made bogey at this hole every day.
Well, I'm sure he's not alone. Well, I think he's going to have a little problem making 5 now.
Oh, a great story. Not too far from here in Paris, where Greg LeMond has successfully defended his Tour de France title. The 3rd time he has won that prestigious event, first time being in 1986. And you can see it right here on ABC coming up at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central and Pacific. Greg LeMond wins again the Tour de France.
Uphill putt from about 25 feet. Just not on track today.
Never had a chance, Jerry. Short from the moment he hit it.
And from there we go to Ian Baker Finch, who missed the cut for 3 consecutive years until last year here at the British Open. Finished in a tie for 30th.
It's a 5-iron shot. Slightly into the breeze.
And safely on the putting surface, but a long way from the pin as we go to Woosnam now for birdie at 11.
It's putt from about 12 feet. Not really downhill, pretty flat and pretty straight. Putting into the wind, he can be aggressive with it.
This would be his 3rd straight birdie. Ian Woosnam now gets to 14 under par.
Well, Roger, he was criticized in the paper complaining about the greens, and so far it looks pretty good.
That's Jody Mudd's 4th shot at 17, and he'll have that left for bogey. So in the rough off the tee, his 2nd shot also found the rough short of the green to the left of the road bunker, and Jody at 13 under will drop back to at least 12 and possibly more. As we move now to Nick Faldo on the tee at 8.
Such a huge green. Mostly you'll see players missing this flag to the right. Wind coming across a little stronger now. It's picked up a little.
Oh, right at it. just past it, but he has thrown, it's almost like he's shooting arrows. Nick Faldo leads Woosnam and Stewart by 4 in the final round of the British Open. 17th here at the Old Course at St. Andrews. The Old Course Hotel to the left. You move to the right, the Swilken Burn, the first green. The pin was so close to the front there today, and skies are now bright blue. Haze is burned off. Got a beautiful afternoon as we approach 4:30 here in St. Andrews, Scotland. On the tee now at 17 is Mark McNulty. Mark was born in Zimbabwe, now makes his home in Sunningdale, England. 36 years of age, and he's just having a great year on the European Tour, as Nick Faldo has this putt for birdie out at 8.
This putt's up from about 18 feet, going back up against the hill. Perfect speed.
Right there. You know, David, sometimes we say it was left all the way, it was right all the way. We haven't said that about him this week.
This week you haven't had much of a chance to say that. He's hit so many putts it looked as though they were going to go in, and with the correct speed, so many have had a chance and didn't go, and he's still 18 under. So obviously he's made a lot of them in the 3.5 days he's been out there.
Payne Stewart for birdie at 9. And just misses. I had a chance to talk to Payne about what this Old Course does for him.
Well, it's really it's only the second time I've played here. I played in '84 and missed. That's when they had the 54-hole cut. I missed the cut by a shot, but you know, to come here and play well at St. Andrews is fabulous. It's the original home of golf. It's the original golf tournament. So, you know, you'd like to do real well.
Mm-hmm. And so far, Payne has done awfully well. He's 14 under in this championship, 2 under on his round so far today. And had a good birdie opportunity there, David, that just slid by.
He's had some so far, and all 4 days, you know, just as Nick Faldo has done.
Flags of the different nations represented here, 19 different countries, players from different countries playing in this 1990 British Open Championship, and the flags barely blowing. What would they call this? This wouldn't even be a slight breeze.
Oh, not for here. No, they're at the beach. There's some people at the beach today. This is where some of the citizens would be.
Now, on the tee at 10, Payne Stewart.
The wind is still behind the player here, Roger, and as long as Payne is, I would say he has some chance to drive this green.
Called the Bobby Jones hole, named after him in 1972.
He has hit a good solid shot up the left side of the fairway.
Those people better move. Nearly knocked it into the scorers that were traveling along with another group as you take a look at that 10th hole.
Well, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, probably if the wind's blowing right at your back, you want to hit right away, and you can see it's just a straightaway hole with 342 yards, and obviously doesn't play that long. We've seen a number of players drive this hole during the tournament. The ground very firm and downwind.
Nick Faldo on the tee at 9.
Kind of automatic. Played it short of the bunkers, right in the middle of the fairway.
Par 5. 1 of 2 on the golf course.
Now, Mark McNulty, his second shot at 17.
Very consistent player, Mark McNulty is. Roger finished the top 10 money winners here the last 4 years straight.
Turn. That's all right.
Of course, as you said, having a real good year, but this shot we've seen, this is almost a replay. So many shots that we've seen this week. The right side, that road is closer than it is at the flag.
Faldo now at 9.
That was from 125. Hole cut in the left-hand side of the green.
Spins it back. A few moments ago at 18, this was Jody Mudd for birdie. Jody made double bogey at the 17th hole. Jody Mudd with that putt around of 6 under 66 as we go to Payne Stewart at 10.
This was very difficult here, Roger. It goes through 2 or 3 little valleys. Coming up, should break some to his left from there.
This was his second shot at 10, and he'll have that left for birdie.
Very nicely done. That was a difficult putt.
You're taking a look at the road hole here. We saw Jody Mudd come here a few moments ago and hit it in that rough to the left off the tee. And his second shot, he made 6. Now we see Mark McNulty, his second shot on the road. Had a wedge, David?
Well, it's I'm sure it is. It's a lofted club there, and he's played a marvelous little shot. I'm sure he's happy that it stopped, but I'm sure he thought it was going to roll a little more than that off that road.
Oh, there we are. Is that our first kilt of the day? It's kilt weather, I can tell you.
They all look like that.
It was either that or out of bounds stakes, one of the two.
They're red out of bounds stakes.
Yeah. Now, Nick Faldo at 9. This is for birdie. And he runs that by a few feet. It was interesting. In 1921, Jock Hutchison made a hole-in-one on the 8th hole. Looked like he was going to do the same at 9, and a fan came out, pulled the pin out, and knocked the ball out. That is a hole that you can drive if the wind's in the right direction, as we have Craig Perry now for birdie at 10.
You can see, Roger, he played from about the same place Payne Stewart did and got it 20 feet by the hole.
He'll have that for his par. As Payne Stewart has a short birdie putt. Ian Baker Finch back at 9, and that was for his par, and Baker Finch remains at 1 under on his round today, 13 under for the championship, and 5 back of Faldo, who leads Woosnam and Stewart by 4. Now, Peter Jacobsen, this birdie putt at 14. So Peter gets one back there.
Oh, he's made a lot of birdies this week.
Yeah. 12 under for the championship. Payne Stewart for birdie. This to get him to 15 under and 3 back of Nick Faldo.
Well, if they're going to put any pressure on Nick, they've got to start making birdies. He's hit a lot of good shots and some good putts. They just haven't gone.
Got it. Use the right side of the hole, and Payne Stewart now at 15 under. He hasn't been greedy, David. You know, he's taken what's been there for him. He hasn't tried to force things too much. Those consecutive rounds of 68 indicate that. Now, Mark McNulty. This for par at 17 a moment ago. 3rd shot from off the road.
Crowd will go crazy over there at 17 when you make 4 off the road. And we just saw that Jody Mudd shot 66 and 276, which is 12 under. That's what Ballesteros shot last time in 84 when he won here. So you can see how much better the scoring is this time at the old course.
Nick Faldo did indeed make his short par putt. The Outward 9 has been completed. And a 3-shot lead for Faldo over Stewart. As you take a look, Sandy Lyles had a good tournament. Maybe he's going to get himself back on track. Tim Simpson, a hole-in-one today. David Graham, one of the low rounds of the day, a 6 under 66.
Terrific for the dog.
Yeah. Run on down the scores here. 51 Americans attempted to make the cut. 28 indeed did. And I think on this particular Sunday, with the good showing by Jody Mudd, Peter Jacobsen playing awfully well, Payne Stewart right there. Well, our final group and our leader, Nick Faldo, have made it to 10.
You can see the 10th hole there, 342, and we've seen players during the week, because it's with the wind, drive this hole and have putts at eagles and certainly drive very near it, and what looks like a hole that you ought to, when you stand on the tee, you feel like you ought to make a birdie, but you got to watch the left there, the winds and gorse to the left, because we've also seen Ballesteros was in there on Thursday, Gamez was in there on Friday, so you must not go left at all on this particular hole. And as I said, a hole that you can drive, and a lot of undulations in this green, even if you do drive it. Greg Norman got in that little whirlpool situation there on the right yesterday, and one of his 3 putts came from down in there in front of the green.
Well, we saw Payne Stewart just make birdie there. That was his first birdie at the 10th hole. I remember the other day he knocked it on and then 3-putted it up from some distance. The Bobby Jones hole, birdies 113, the pars, just 26 bogeys. Second easiest hole this week after the 5th hole, the par 5 on the front side. And we're going to go to 16 and take a look at Greg Norman right now. And this putt for birdie. Greg's come back just a little bit here, had dropped down to 7 under, but is now at 11 under after birdies at 14 and 15. That one comes up short at 16. Not going to be enough Sunday magic for Greg Norman. And we go to the tee at 11. Payne Stewart. Par 3, 172 yards. Oh, and that is way too long, and the crowd is trying to split to let the ball roll on, and it's still rolling, and it is back near the grandstand there as Nick Faldo moves now to the 10th hole.
As everybody said, a big drive will reach the green, but the wind is probably less than any time during this week. It'll take a tremendous drive today to reach the green.
He birdied this hole on Thursday and Friday, made a par yesterday.
Ball's very, very short to the right, but all right. Just a short pitch to the green. Not a very good angle, though.
Payne Stewart right now, a moment ago at the 11th hole, his second shot from behind the green.
It's very bare back there, and this shot takes a lot of courage, a lot of imagination, about 90% heart.
Payne will have that left for his par to remain 3 back of Nick Faldo. As we look at Faldo now at 10, set for his second shot.
Very tough pitch. A hole cut just over a big hump. Once it gets coming over that hump, it's going to be very, very fast.
Remember the shot he played here yesterday, Bob?
Oh, yes. He played a good one yesterday. Throws it very high in the air, but it's going to be long.
So Nick Faldo way behind the pin at 10 as we look at Mark McNulty now taking a look at this putt at 18 for a round of 8 under 64. Now we'll move to Payne Stewart at 11.
Roger, he hit a great shot. It may not have been as hard as it appeared in that the soil is sandy, and he played it just like a bunker shot, an explosion. but it was a wonderful shot from behind that green. If he can save a par here and somehow go on and win this tournament, I think that would be the key hole in his round.
3 back of Faldo. 3 under on his round today, and this putt for par remained at 15 under for the championship.
That's beautiful.
That is tremendous for Payne Stewart. A par at 11.
And he knows that, because a lot of times it's the par in the round that keeps you going. Maybe not the birdie, but when you get out of trouble, and he put himself in the worst place he could be at that hole over that green today.
Now, let's go over to Jack Whitaker. Jack?
Well, Rogers, you know, Greg LeMond carried the Stars and Stripes to triumph in the Tour de France in Paris today, and even as we speak, they're playing the Star-Spangled Banner on the Champs-Élysées. But here in St. Andrews, the orchestra seems to be rehearsing Rule Britannia, as the Americans are being besieged by Great Britain and the Commonwealth nations. Peter Jacobsen and Jody Mudd tried valiantly earlier on, and now it's up to Payne Stewart, isn't it? I hope if Greg LeMond would have any energy left from his tremendous victory in the Tour de France, he would fax it over here to this gray old town, because as this field heads for home, Payne Stewart's going to need all the support he can get. Roger?
Thank you, Jack. Well, last year it was a great 1-2 with LeMond and Calcavecchia. And this, a moment ago, McNulty for birdie at 18. Played a beautiful shot off Randy Clark's wind there. Just lips it out to the left.
Well, he did a rare double. He played one off the road at the road hole, and then off the macadam path there.
Well, he was used to it, by the way.
That's right.
Now, on the tee at 12, Payne Stewart, 316-yard par 4.
He's taking an iron, Roger. Obviously just going to play safe. Out to the right side, away from the bunkers. And he's pushed it farther to the right, I think, than he intended. His ball is out into the right rough.
It appears to be right of the gallery, Ed, because they're all moving back in that direction.
That won't hurt him at all,
That's not
Roger.
bad.
Not at all. If he has a decent lie, he has a very good angle to the green.
That's where Peter Jacobsen was earlier.
There's where that crowd is gathered, and there's a look at the Heathery, David, number 12.
Okay, and it's, as you see, a very short hole, but a very difficult hole. Those bunkers you can't see from the tee. You just saw Payne Stewart with an iron go off the right side of that. It's such a short hole, he still will only have a short shot there.
Well, and the safest line is to go to the right over there. Now, Faldo for birdie at 10.
That was from about 40 feet. And that's well short. That is not a very good effort.
I see it got down a little closer than maybe you can see after he took the pin out.
Now, on the tee at 17 is Greg Norman. He is at 11 under for the championship, 3 under on his round today. Made a par here every day. Well, you'd think if he'd come through 17 with a par every day, he'd be in pretty good shape for the championship. David, at the age of 35 now, another major title goes by.
Well, what can I say? He's had a chance to win a lot of them. Some of them have been his own fault that he didn't win, and some, of course, some curious things have happened to him.
Faldo gets that par with the short putt. Well, it'll be next year at Royal Birkdale for Greg Norman.
Hey, Roger. He has a very good angle, and he's playing right against the wind, which should enable him to stop it.
Oh, and he stopped it beautifully, Ed. Boy, David, what a marvelous shot.
Great shot, but as Ed said, that was the good angle if you can miss it correctly, as we see in Ian Baker Finch here at 11, I believe.
Yeah, Baker Finch at the 11th hole. Look at this. This is the high hole.
They say that Jones, this is where he shot 46 going out and took a lot to get out of the bunker and tore up his scorecard and threw it in that estuary there.
This is Corey Pavin's third shot at 14.
With a very difficult pitch shot from about 100 yards. Oh, just got it up. I hope it stays.
It's resting right there.
These pins are set probably as tough as I've ever seen them for this golf course.
11 under
Look,
for the
he's running up there to mark his ball,
he
too.
is. Now, Greg Norman at 17, his second shot. He might have played it in that spot, David.
Well, if he had a bad lie, maybe, but I can't imagine from his angle that he'd be that far left. I mean, he had the correct angle to come in from. Why wouldn't you go up the green there? Well, I mean, he's left himself right where Jody Mudd was a minute ago, and that's no easy pitch.
And we saw Corey Pavin running up to the green. His ball was resting right up on, and with the wind blowing, he wasn't going to take a chance.
It might be running back toward him. They might meet if he doesn't get up there and mark that.
Now, Nick Faldo at 11. Remember the Strath bunker you can see right there in front, and then there's a hill bunker to the left.
Come on, boy. Come on, boy. Come on.
And he is safely on the green. Faldo leads Payne Stewart by 3. Woosnam is 4 shots back. Baker Finch 5 along with Mark McNulty, and then Peter Jacobsen and Jody Mudd at 12 under. Jody finished with a 66 today along with David Graham. The low rounds so far as you look at Payne Stewart now for birdie. Just to get within 2. Payne Stewart now at 16 under par after the birdie at 12. So Payne now with birdies at 10 and 12, and Nick Faldo at 11. This long putt for birdie. David, that's the first one he's really sort of missed. I mean, it's close, but his line has been excellent.
A little bit left there.
Yeah. Now, Corey Pavin, this is for birdie. Remember, David, when he ran up on the green to mark it? Let's see if that hustle pays dividends.
Well, it made it easier par at any rate, because it could go 30 feet back down that hill.
Now, Ian Baker Finch at 11. This is for birdie. Well, Ian is not making a lot happen today. Along with Faldo, they're both 1 under par. Ian's had some real good birdie chances. And I want to remind you, next Saturday on ABC Sports, our golf coverage returns to where it began. It's the Senior British Open Championship from Turnberry here in Scotland, and coverage begins at 1 Eastern and Pacific, 12 Central. Saturday on ABC Sports, that's the Senior British Open Championship. Now, Nick Faldo, this for par, to remain 2 shots ahead of Payne Stewart.
He hasn't had many of these this week.
Safely in, nicely done. Faldo at 18 under for the championship, 1 under on his round today, and Payne Stewart now at 4 under par this Sunday. And Payne Stewart 2 shots back early in, and with a round of 66, low round of the day, Jody Mudd. Nice playing, Jody.
Thanks, Roger. I made a lot of birdies.
Yeah, you had a stretch there of 9 holes where you made 7 birdies. Were you just hitting it close, or were you making putts from all over the place?
I kept the ball on the proper side of the hole today. I kept putting uphill and into the wind, which is what you want to do out here, because a lot of putts are downwind and down grain. So, but I got off to a good start. I birdied 1, and then got to the corner and made some birdies. Birdied 7, 8, 10, 11, and 12, and I was just playing hard.
Yeah, and then 17 grabbed you again.
Yeah, I played the whole 5 over this week, and I drove in the left rough 3 out of the 4 days, and that's not the way to play the hole.
No. Jody, what about the conditions today? Any different at all than in the previous days?
The weather's the same. The golf course is firming up. The greens are a lot faster. The fairways are playing faster, and it's a great test of golf out there right now. The wind's just the right speed, and the golf course is playing really tough.
Nice going today, Jody.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you very much. Jody Mudd around a 66 today as we look now at Payne Stewart on the tee at 13.
Roger, that ball is headed toward the bunkers. And I believe it has found the coffins.
We can't see it, so we're going to assume, David, those coffin bunkers we can see on this 425-yard par 4.
It is in the coffin bunkers, Roger.
They got that name for the right reason, too.
He's actually got half a chance to put this ball on the green. He's far enough back. His lie appears to be pretty good. I think he's going to take a shot at the green.
And now, Nick Faldo on the tee at 12. 316-yard par 4. Saw Payne Stewart play it to the right here earlier. And remember yesterday here, David, he hit it in the gorse, but pitched out and made his par.
Made his par anyhow.
Away. This is the 13th, 425-yard par 4. The hole across in, David.
Well, it's a beautiful par 4, and you see the bunkers there down the left side. 400 and what is that? Let's see, 425 yards long to a hole that's second shot sometimes a little bit blind there, as you see, and we just saw Payne Stewart drive into the bunkers there called the coffin. Now, if he should take a chance to try to knock it on the green out of there and not get out, that tournament might be over for him.
Now, Payne's second shot there out of the coffins.
Roger, he just took a sand wedge here and played the ball out, and I think it was a wise choice. I do think he had a chance to put the ball on the green, but if he didn't, he'd blow the tournament here. He still has a chance to win, and I think he made the right decision.
Now, Ian Baker Finch at 12.
That was from well back in the rough. He tried to lay up and laid up in the right-hand rough and didn't hit it hard enough.
So Baker Finch with that for birdie, and now Payne Stewart, his third shot at 13.
Almost 120 yards, Roger, right against the wind. Pin on the right side of the green, a very difficult pin placement.
Jack Nicklaus has joined us now, and Jack, that's a good play by Payne to take his punishment there out of that bunker.
He's still got a chance for his par, and he has a fairly straight putt there.
Now, Nick Faldo, second shot.
Nicklaus 90 yards, pitching right into the wind. Ooh.
Oh, look at him spin that back.
That came very close to going down the hill and back of the green before it spun back.
Jack, can you believe the way they're spinning the ball out here?
Well, that's the first time I've seen any ball spin even close to that.
We've seen a lot of
Faldo's wedges.
Way to go look at a lot of wedges. I can tell you who.
That's right.
Oh, man. At 17 a moment ago, Peter Jacobsen. Oh, goodness. Now, Peter at 11 under par for this championship. Now, this is Peter looking once again. Jack, I presume that was his second shot out of the rough back there. Now, we're told that he's getting set for his fifth shot now. Wow. Now, we go to Ian Woosnam for birdie at 15. Well, now we're told this is his fifth shot at the road hole. This is Jacobsen.
I find that hard to believe unless he hit the ball out of bounds first. But he made, they talk about making a birdie here the second round, but he made a great six here the first round.
And he hasn't left himself with any special bargains here left either.
Nick Faldo, who began the day, of course, in command of this championship, but Payne Stewart has made a move. 4 under on his round today. He has pulled to within 2 as Faldo is 1 under on his round, and Ian Baker Finch for birdie. At 12, and he runs it well by as he had to come up over that mound. Jack, you think with Baker Finch, they're both at 1 under par, one not inspiring the other, or anything like that?
Well, that happens a lot. You've got two fellas that you think are going to compete for the championship, and they never really either one of them get anything going, and all of a sudden they open the door for somebody else.
Yeah, David, this is another look at Peter's shot, which we're told was a 5th shot.
Well, I just have to believe. So we saw him hit that duck hook. He's surrendering whatever it is with people all over like him. I mean, he's full of emotion and fire and competitiveness as anyone, but he seems to say and do the right thing at the right time.
Well, he made a birdie at 14 to get to 12, and then he bogeyed 16 back to 11. He was 13 under after 10 and really making a move. It was at 5 under at that point, but bogeyed 11 and 12. And as you look at the crowd in the stands, Payne Stewart now getting set for a par putt, and this is at the 13th hole.
He's left himself with the best possible chance for a birdie or for a par.
Jack,
he's right in the valley there.
Jack, let me ask you a question. If he was trying to play the right half of the fairway, don't you think with the pin there today it was a little bit of a tactical error? Wouldn't he have been better off way left?
Ed, I think as far left as you could hit it, the better off you're going to be. And you know, I know I played it as far left as I could play it, and I had a nice angle. The only problem is I hit it too hard and went right through the green. But I think it's the right place to be.
I'm sure he wasn't aiming for the bunkers, but there was a lot more room to the left.
Well, yeah. Payne Stewart made a good par at 11. This will be another good one. They remain 2 shots back of Nick Faldo.
It looks like he's got 2 breaks in that putt. Is that right, Ed?
It looks a bit that way, Jack, like it'll go to the right and then back to the left.
Right.
So Stewart with a bogey there to drop him back to 15 under. Faldo's got a birdie putt at 12, which could get him to 19. Possible 2-shot swing. And Nick's not getting them down today like he did the previous few days. But with that par, now a 3-shot lead over Payne Stewart. Now, Peter Jacobsen, this a moment ago, this would be his 6th shot at the road hole.
He's going to putt this.
So he'll have that coming back for 7. Payne Stewart did tap in as we go to the tee at 16, and Ian Woosnam.
Hey.
Where's he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, come on.
Got to be left. He says that's safe.
That's way left.
You can almost hit it so safe there that you can put it in bunkers.
That's right.
There are bunkers over there to the left.
16's a 382-yard par 4 as keep our fingers crossed on this one. This is for triple bogey here. Oh, 8. Well, Scott Hoke made 9 there the other day.
You hate to see that come as it does at any time, but especially on the 71st hole when you're playing well.
Now, Ian Baker Finch for par 12.
Yes.
And just a moment ago, he drops that one in. So Baker Finch stays at 13 under for the championship at 5 shots back of Nick Faldo as we go now.
Well, the golf course is just starting for Faldo. He's played the front 9 downwind, then you go to the loop, and you get to the 12th hole. Now the 13th starts, and if Nick's going to win the golf tournament, he's going to win it the next 3 holes, as opposed to set up the last couple.
That ball is down to the left of the bunker. Should be all right.
Right in the middle of the 6th fairway, which is the fairway you play to on the 13th hole.
That ball's to the left, way left, which is what Jack Nicklaus said was the perfect way to come to this hole, and it sure is.
Well, you missed the bunkers.
Nick Faldo with a 3-shot lead. He's playing the 13th hole right now. He leads Payne Stewart.
He came very close to putting it in that little bunker over there in the other fairway. Came very close to that bunker. He is about 200 yards from the hole. Good angle, but it's a long shot in there.
He's going to be aiming the ball just about at that tower. Let's put him up left to the hole.
Jack, do those towers help visually? I mean, you played this course before they had all the TV and stuff. Do those different towers and things around the course now help?
That's what we aim at all the way around, because really it's the only thing out there. Used to pick out a spire, and you have this one big spire you play coming home, but you have a couple other TV towers and things all the way around the golf course that you use.
A few moments ago, Payne Stewart with his tee shot at 14. 567-yard par 5, the long hole, Jack.
It's close to the Beardies there, but it's a good tee shot. It's a tough one. Got the out of bounds on the right, the Beardies on the left, and little wind in your face, and then you have 221 from the Beardies to carry Hell Bunker there to set up about a 60 or 70-yard pitch shot into the green, or you play out to the left into 5 fairway.
That was a moment ago. You saw that tee shot. Now Payne getting set for his second shot. Now 3 shots behind Nick Faldo.
He's about 10 yards past those bunkers, Jack, so he has a little over 200 to carry Hell Bunker.
That's a pretty good pop into a wind. Is there much wind out there right now, Eddie?
It's not blowing too hard. It's died down quite a bit through the day.
You should be able to get it over with a solid hit.
It certainly sounded very solid.
Yep.
Safely done by Payne Stewart at the only par 5 on the inward 9. And Payne getting a little jogging in. Now at 18, Peter Jacobsen for birdie. Began the day at 8 under, got it to 13, but a devastating 8 at 17, and he'll have that left for a round of 1 over 73. Payne Stewart's in a jog right now.
Well, Roger, I believe he's going to avail himself of some of the services here at the golf course.
Well put, Edward.
Happens to all of us sometimes.
Well, good thing there was a par 5 hole there. Stewart 3 back, Woosnam 5 behind. Faldo, Baker Finch began the day at 5, playing along with Nick Faldo. McNulty. You know, Payne Stewart in the British Open has had a pretty good darn career as far as finishes. Of course, a second place finish for Payne a few years ago in 1985, 4th place in 87, 7th place in 88, and 8th place finish last year. So he's been very competitive in this tournament. Once again, he is right back in the thick of things.
He had a very good chance to win when Sandy Lau won.
Now at 16, Corey Pavin for birdie.
Roger, this is actually for a bogey. His tee shot hit the scoreboard and bounced out of bounds. He was playing well up the left side, and it bounced out of bounds. And that's why Woosnam was laughing about his shot was safe, because it was left to the scoreboard. A little bit of a bad break.
Yeah, it sure was. So Pavin, who came to that hole at 11 under, for the championship, 3 under on his round, will drop back. By the way, Greg Norman finished with a 3 under 69 today, 11 under for the championship. And, you know, Jack, some of the big names that didn't make the cut here, like Curtis Strange and Seve and Watson and defending champion Mark Calcavecchia.
Well, you know, the scores were so low to make the cut. I mean, 1 under par to make the cut is unheard of in the British Open. And, you know, this golf course, you just don't have to shoot a low score on it. I mean, it's out there for the taking, but the greens were tough to putt. The greens are always firm. And some of the guys, you know, just didn't get started real fast. And if you don't get started real fast, well, you know, the way the guys play today and the way they shoot, you're out of the tournament.
So that'll drop Pavin back to 9 under. And a moment ago at 13, Ian Baker Finch, his third shot. Now at 16, Ian Woosnam for par.
We were talking about Corey Pavin a second ago, and if he hit that, it was a leaderboard I assume that he hit, and that at the beginning of the week, we had talked, the RNA had asked us about whether there was anything out there that was to change, and we mentioned that the leaderboard and TV tower behind the 12th green for the 13th tee shot, the one at 16, which the one is evidently Pavin hit, and also the new bleachers that were put to the left of 14 prevented you from playing the 5th fairway, which you play quite often. And as big as the tournament's getting, as many services are, you know, and the way the wind conditions are over here, you really got to be very, very careful with the way you put towers and things on the golf course.
That was Faldo for his birdie putt, which came up short. Payne Stewart, his third shot.
72 yards, Roger, and from a very good lie. He had a great lie there and was on an uphill slope, enabling to throw the ball up in the air and stop it by the hole.
And he was able to spin it back a little bit, and Payne with another birdie putt.
I had that putt earlier today.
Yes?
And I can't remember what I did. No, I missed
wait a minute. Jack, you remember your putts from 1965. Come on.
No, I missed a little bit left. I played at the top edge of the cup, and it broke a little bit more than I thought.
Nick Faldo for par. Safely in. Nick just going along, taking care of business. 1 under par on his round.
So that's what happens when you become a senior player. You can't even remember what you did earlier in the day.
And you haven't had your nap yet.
That's right. Well, I played at 9 o'clock this morning. I was done 3 hours before these guys teed off.
Faldo's made 8 pars in a row now, as Baker Finch takes a look at this putt, which will be for par.
I also missed that putt for par. That little putt looks like it comes left and then goes back to the right, and it just comes left.
But you did putt better today than you did yesterday.
Well, yeah, but I just showed you 2 very short ones I missed.
This man's got a wonderful short game. We saw him at Kemper about 3-4 weeks ago, and get it up and down 3 or 4 times coming down the stretch, taking a good hard look at this putt. But Baker Finch, after shooting that 64 yesterday, not making anything happen today, as we go to 17, and Corey Pavin. Double bogey at 16.
Nice drive right in the center of the fairway.
You know, we talk about 17 being such a tough hole. Do you think, Jack, sometimes the players start thinking ahead a little bit? Because it looks like 16, we've had a lot of players like with bogey 16, then get to 17 and maybe a bogey or a double.
Well, I think let's watch Ian putt here.
And that's his par putt.
He made it. I think the 17th hole here at the Road Hole, the 12th hole at Augusta, and there's probably a couple other holes in the game that you think about ahead of time. And you worry about the wind, you worry about the conditions, and you can't help it. You're sitting there, all of a sudden you're playing on 15 or 16, and all of a sudden, boom, here we come.
Now, Payne Stewart, this is for birdie, just to get 2 back of Faldo. Right edge.
Looked like it was just a shade firm.
So, Payne with a par. And he remains 3 shots back of Nick Faldo. Obviously an Elvis fan there.
Saw him in the woolen mill the other day. Elvis, I mean, he was buying some sweaters.
Let's take a look at some scores right now. Woosnam and Baker Finch. McNulty is finished 5 behind. Nick Faldo, Stewart 3 back, and then Jody Mudd at 12 under. Norman 11, along with Craig Perry of Australia. Steve Pate at 9 under. Robert Gamez, first British Open. And Corey Pavin at 18, his second shot. Excuse me, this was 17, his second shot.
Corey just took a long iron, tried to play it short right front part of the green. There's no way to get the ball near the flagstick the way it's positioned today, right behind the road bunker. He had 225 yards to the pin.
There have been no birdies today on 17 and only 15 birdies all week on the road hole.
Roger, I'd like to bet that there won't be any birdies today there.
Now, Nick Faldo on the tee at 14. He's been using it, what he calls a 2-wood, David, this week.
Whatever he's been using, must be talking about a 2-wood loft or one of those
exactly, on
metal drivers there. It's worked very well because he's got plenty of length.
That ball just missed the bunkers. It's all right, but not very long. I don't think he's going to be able to clear Hell Bunker from where he is.
No, he's going to have to play left. He'll play left.
Well, the good part about that, Jack, it takes the thought out of it, so you don't try to take a chance of going over Hell Bunker. If you're there, you just got to play it left.
Well, if you remember yesterday, he played left when he had a chance of going over Hell Bunker, but I think he's planning on playing the hole that way and hit his third shot in past the hole and keep going.
Now, Payne Stewart on the tee at 15. The Cartgate in hole, 413-yard par 4.
That ball is down the right-hand side. I'm unable to see where it finished.
We'll find that tee shot of Payne Stewart. He's 3 back of Nick Faldo.
The majestic career of Jack Nicklaus would not have been complete without a victory at St Andrews. In fact, he won here twice, in 1970 and 1978. There are 2 unforgettable images of Nicklaus on the old course. First, when he removed his sweater before driving beyond the green on the 18th hole, 354 yards downwind. And secondly, when he flung his putter into the sky in a most un-Nicklaus-like burst of emotion after winning the 1970 playoff against Doug Sanders.
Faldo with that 3-stroke lead. They haven't quite started to run out of holes yet. And here was Faldo's second shot on the par 5, 14th hole, 564 yards long. Could not carry the coffins, Jack.
No, he played out the left of Hell Bunker there, Jim, and with the look of Faldo walking there, I'm sure he hit it fine.
It is perfect, Jack. It's about 160 yards, I'd say, to the flag from over there.
Okay. Ian Woosnam with the top of his head in the road bunker on 17, the dreaded road hole.
He didn't have a shot.
Woosie's not very tall, but that bunker's a little deeper than he is.
That's right.
That's the only thing he could do, Jack.
No, he didn't have any other shot. You could have played a perfect bunker shot, and they all end up in the same place.
Yeah.
It just catches that downslope and goes.
Woosnam still tied for 3rd place here. He's 13 under par, tied with Ian Baker Finch and Mark McNulty, who shot 65. You had it in the road bunker today, somebody said?
I got it in the road bunker in 3.
In 3?
Yeah, I hit it in the rough, had to pitch it out, hit it in the road bunker, knocked it right exactly where Woosnam did, and then I hold it. For bogey.
Then you birdied 18.
I birdied 18. I hold 2 putts. How about that?
Still finishing the same way as always, Jack. Now, Payne Stewart.
He's got a pretty good angle from over there, doesn't he, Ed?
Well, yes, he does. He's waiting for Craig Perry to play.
He's got an angle. The pin is tucked right behind the slope coming off of the left side of the green there, and there's a little hollow just to the left of that, about 10 yards from the hole, that you want to try to avoid. It's actually a hollow that's draining in the green, and it's a most unusual thing. We don't find that very often in the States, and it's a thing to avoid. So Payne's got a good angle into where he's playing.
There are a few things on this course you find very frequently in the States.
Yeah, just about almost everything, actually.
Excuse me, Ed, go ahead.
Well, he has a little bit of a flying lie, about 165, but he has a good chance to play this shot well.
Stand still, please. I need to keep that camera still.
The cameraman is bothering him. Not one of ours.
Still cameraman, I take it.
The ball below his feet would tend to go to the right. Well, he has started it well to the left. And he has just missed the little bunker and rolled over the bunker. He's going to have a very difficult third shot, though. Appears he's rolled down into a little hollow.
Come on, man. Get into it.
Right. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah. So
he's got to run the ball right through that little hollow I was just talking about in the green.
Ian Woosnam on tape at 17.
It breaks about 15 inches to the right, Woozy.
If only he could have heard you. That'll be a bogey for Woosnam. Drop him to 12 under for the championship, 3 under for the day. Ian Woosnam, who has won tournaments the last 2 weeks, Monte Carlo and the Scottish Open. Now, Faldo. Bob Rosberg.
Nick is about 155, coming into the flag from the left. Ideal angle, wind coming directly out of the left.
This is a par 5 hole, remember, his third shot.
I suspect you'll try to throw it a little long and to the left of the hole. It's the best place to throw it. Although to the right of the hole is actually all right, too, but it's just he's got the shortest part to carry is on the left side.
All right. As you said, play it left. So he's safely on the green in 3. There's the clubhouse, the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews. It's been cleaned in recent years. It used to be a very dark gray, like much of the town of St. Andrews is. Inside, the portraits of old captains peering down at the members and their guests. This is what they call the big room. It has a bay window where they can look out on the first tee and the rest of the world.
Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the 90s. And by UPS for guaranteed overnight delivery from coast to coast. UPS runs the tightest ship in the shipping business.
I'll go ahead if I have to move it.
Back at the British Open Golf Championship, the 119th, where Nick Faldo still leads Payne Stewart by 3 strokes. This just a few seconds ago, actually, was Payne Stewart's third shot on the par 4 14th. This was tough, wasn't it, Joe?
It was really tough. He has that little hollow to negotiate. The ball's going up and goes down the hollow. He has to come out of the hollow and then down the hill.
Now watch this.
And look at this now. Watch this release. What a great little shot he played there.
But he must make that for a par. He cannot afford to lose anything more to Nick Faldo. He has gained 2 shots on Faldo so far today. Still trails by 3. Now this on tape was Ian Baker Finch's birdie putt on the 14th. Playing with Faldo. Just joined us.
He didn't play a particularly good third shot. Left it below the hill from just in front of the green.
Now, the one he must make, don't you think, Jack?
Well, I think he's got to make this, and I think he's got to make at least 1 birdie to put any pressure on Nick.
Yes, indeed. What a 4.
It's a very good 4.
His tee shot in the rough, second shot in a very difficult position, short of the green, but he made it. Now Faldo with the birdie attempt, a long one, on the par 5 14th. Okay, that for the par. Hold on to that 3-stroke lead. He's 18 under, 1 under on today's round. Do you have the sense that in any way he's playing defensively?
Faldo, I don't think he's playing defensively. It looks like he's playing just very smart golf. And he's in the league. He's got to just put the ball in play and let everybody else, you know, just sort of try to charge at him. And if they don't make a charge, then he's going to win the golf tournament.
Greg LeMond, the American, has won the Tour de France for the 2nd year in a row, the 3rd year overall. A tremendous achievement for an American to win the world's most famous bicycle race. Took most of the month of July over the Alps and the Pyrenees and into Paris this afternoon. And at 4:30 Eastern today, you'll be seeing the whole deal on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And of course, this is live from St. Andrews. Faldo still by 3 over Payne Stewart. The 16th tee. There you see the yardage, a short par 4.
He's got a 3-wood off the tee. He's got about 335 yards to the end of the rough. Oh, my gosh, he's hit his driver. He's going down. He's going down to the right.
Gone down the right-hand side, Jack, and he has put the ball probably within just a pitching wedge or sand wedge distance of the green.
I've never seen anybody play it there.
Well, he's played a lot of courageous golf this week. Aggressive.
Well, it's 382 yards, and the whole thing that you got to watch out for is the outside of the leaderboard there that Pavin hit is the principal's nose is right in front of us, and then Deacon Syme is just beyond that. Payne has played it down the right side. Most everybody's been playing it left to the bunkers and then playing about a 7-iron in. Payne took a gamble, and now he's only going to have about a pitching wedge.
Faldo on 15. Par 4, 413 yards.
That ball's way left, out in the middle. The other fairway, coming the other way, the way you want to play it. You don't want to fool with this bunker here.
Okay, still 1 under par for the day. 18 under for this championship. A little way to go yet.
Doug Sanders had this short putt to win the 1970 Open at St. Andrews. The moment was described by Henry Longhurst of the BBC.
And so now, this is it. And this is what people dream about, that you've got this one with a left-hand borrow downhill on the last green at St. Andrews to win the Open. Missed it. Yes, certainty. Yes, that's the side you're bound to miss it. And there it is. And there, but for the grace of God.
That miss enabled Jack Nicklaus to tie Sanders, and Nicklaus won their playoff the next day.
This was Ian Woosnam on the 18th green for a birdie to try to go 13 under for this championship, which would put him in a tie for 3rd place at the moment with Ian Baker Finch and Mark McNulty, who shot 65 today. But no, that putt to keep him at 12 under, tie with Jody Mudd, who shot 66 today, and Greg Norman, who shot 69. Woosnam, a 69 himself. Now here we are on 15, Jack.
413-yard par 4. There's only one real bunker to worry about, and it's really not a factor today, and that's the Sutherland right out there in the middle of the fairway. The pin is tucked today just to the right of that bunker, and there's a little hollow behind it. The tee shot should end up right in this little narrowing part of the fairway, leaving most of the fellas with about a 7-iron to the green. It's a large green. Best place to hit it is just by the hole so you can put back up the hill. A lot of fellas should look for birdie here.
Okay, good look at it from overhead. Jack, I think it's interesting that this was your 28th appearance on the final day of the British Open. And now of all the thousands of people who have ever played in this championship, only one has ever finished the whole tournament more times than you have. The famous J.H. Taylor had 30, you have 28. And today you exceeded Harry Vardon and James Braid, the other two of the triumvirate, who had 27. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm getting up there, aren't I?
Yes, you're getting up. You better keep coming back. Oh, there. Nick Faldo.
Beautiful shot.
Whoa. And there's the one that conceivably could wrap it up for him.
Could wrap it up.
Yep.
Payne's down there at 16, and, you know, Payne finishes here at, if he makes 3 pars, he could conceivably be the only man to have ever shot 4 rounds in the 60s in this championship, and he could possibly still not win. That's not, right. Yeah. Of course, Nick, if he birdies this and another one, he could do the same.
But ahead still lies the road hole, the 17th. Ian Baker Finch tied for 3rd now at 13 under. Mark McNulty, who's finished.
And that's the normal finishing place on this hole, just out to the right. The wind pushes it to the right, and you leave yourself a putt coming back up the hill.
Last time they played at St. Andrews, this man led going into the last round. Had one spin back into the burn on the first hole for him, and from there on it kind of came apart. He shot 79. But here he is, a very serious challenger again. He's been all the way.
Nice young man and a good player.
Yep. Payne Stewart.
Here's the shot for Mr. Stewart.
That was from a little over 105 yards.
Stay there.
Is it going to stay? No, it's not.
Jack, did he use a copper-colored club? That's his sand wedge if he did. If it's a chrome club, it was a pitching wedge.
That's a long sand wedge.
Have another look at that, Jack.
You know that we've been playing, and I'm sure Payne has too, from a little further left, and the wind is pretty much left to right. Well, he's driven it down the right side, so he's playing it back into the wind a little bit more than he has all week, so that may have been a little bit of a factor.
Another foot or two on this one. What he needed. He was drawing back. And still going. And still.
And he's not even going to get the benefit of watching his partner putt.
Right. Now Faldo on the left. A very real birdie chance here. That would give him a 4-shot lead. Unless Payne makes his next putt. Certainly Faldo with the far the easier of the two. Caddy, Fanny Sunison looking it over with him. There's the story, the whole thing on the picture and the graphic underneath. That's all you need to know.
I'm sure Nick's got a little thought in his mind. He says, boy, if I can get this one in. And he says, what can I do coming home? I says, he's now thinking if he gets this one in, how is he going to play 16? How is he going to play 17? What does he need to do at 17 just to finish the golf tournament? That's what's running through a guy's mind at this time. I know that's what runs through mine when I get in there and I get a 3 or 4 shot lead and I'm saying, how am I going to finish the golf tournament? I'm thinking ahead. It's like you've got to plan what's going on. It's I don't know why you just can't keep your mind on the shots you're playing at the time, but it's can't do it.
You're wondering what happened to Craig Parry of Australia. He double bogeyed 14 and bogeyed 15, so he's dropped well out of it.
Even though this putt is from down in the valley and up, it's a very makeable putt.
More than 40,000 people on this golf course, and dead silence.
Just a touch more. The reason I said that there is that most of the putts go up a very sharp bank and then go down, and that one was almost steadily continuing up until it just leveled out at the hole, and it's just a little different than some of the other ones.
So the par keeps him at 15 under, 3 under on today's round. Previous rounds are 68, 68, 68 every day. Now this was Ian Baker Finch's putt on 15.
Goes a touch to his right.
Which sets it up for Nick Faldo. Here's the putt to go 4 strokes in front with 3 holes to play. That's it. Well, that should do it, Jack.
Well,
don't like to be premature with the road hole still ahead, but
you never know what's going to happen on the road hole.
No, you don't. 4-stroke lead, however, for Faldo.
But I like his position.
Yes. Now, Payne Stewart heard that yell, and golfers are very good at identifying yells from the crowd. as to what they mean, right? Yeah. That was the glance. You pretty much know when you hear a shout whether it's a birdie, eagle.
I always knew when Palmer, Player, Watson, Trevino, whoever, I knew whose it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, the road hole for Payne Stewart. There has not been a birdie here today. Nope, something seems to bother him. Now start it again.
I think he's trying to relax himself. This is a tee shot that he knows that the tournament is totally over if he just doesn't put it in perfect position, and he knows he's going to have to flirt a little bit with the right side here to get the right position.
Shadow of the heads of the gallery.
He has hit that ball very high, Jim, down the left side in the fairway. Not the best angle to get close to the hole, but I don't know that you can get there today.
Tough angle, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't really... Ed's saying it's very tough to find an angle to get to the hole, and I'm not sure. I think Ed's right. I'm not sure you can really find one. You almost have to be running the ball in and catch a little bit of the slope of just short of the road bunker, and then sort of curve off of it to the right and sort of keep it in, get it anywhere close to the hole.
Now Craig Parry. Here's his tee shot.
Well, it looks like he's going to catch the rough.
Yeah, he did.
He's had a little bad luck on this back nine.
See, the tee is back over those sheds, just off the corner of the hotel. Baker Finch on 16 now, par 4. A lot of bogeys and double bogeys here, too, of those short holes, 382 yards.
And he's played it down the left where most people play it. He's about 130 to the front of the green. The pin's about 15 back today, so he's about 145 yards away.
Now the 4-stroke leader. This was on tape. Coming off the birdie, he hit first.
He's left himself back pretty far.
Okay, so Faldo moving along, it appears, toward victory in the British Open, but the road hole lies ahead.
The two best players of the 1980s duelled for the last Open played at St Andrews in 1984. Tom Watson and Seve Ballesteros were tied for the lead. The road hole, the 17th, would prove critical. Watson let his 2-iron second shot get away. That led to a bogey. Ballesteros ahead, then birdied the 18th hole and gave us his personal definition of the thrill of victory.
The last 26 players today to play the 17th hole, there have been 16 bogeys, 2 double bogeys, and an 8. In other words, 19 out of 26 over par. And here is Payne Stewart with a very difficult second shot.
He can't make up his mind whether he's going to go left or right, can he, Eddie?
Well, Jack, I don't know if that's what he's thinking about. I think he may be thinking about going left now and playing a big slice.
Ian Baker Finch at 16.
That was from 150 yards.
He's right now tied for third place at 13 under par with Mark McNulty, who shot 65 today. There now.
200 yards, Jack.
He's going left, it looks like. Trying to slice it in, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Looks like.
Well, he's now to the right side of the green.
Now, what's going to happen here?
I think that's the shot he played, Jack, and it just got away from him with the wind.
Across the road and almost up against the wall.
Well,
you can rethink that one now, perhaps.
Well, I think he was really trying to play a pretty good-sized slice and try to bounce it around the bunker on the left side and get it in behind the hole.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a reasonable thing because the wind's coming across there so strong, and you're really going to have to play almost a duck hook on your mercy with those little hollows in front of the hole there to get it anywhere near. It's just almost impossible.
There you get the wide view of the most famous hole in golf, perhaps. One that you probably wouldn't dare to design on one of your golf courses today, right, Jack?
Actually, I've done one very close to it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Second shot.
It plays just as tough.
16th. All right, this is on tape. Nick Faldo.
From the left.
Okay.
Nice shot.
That's what he needed.
Hit it in behind the hole in the fat of the green.
Yep. 4-stroke lead. Headed towards the road hole and then the finisher. And the great crowd and the reception that greets a champion in the British Open. It's something to hear, I'll tell you that.
I'll never
You've
forget,
heard it, Jack.
I'll never forget coming up there in '78 and the people are hanging out of the windows and it's just an unbelievable feeling. And I'm sitting there getting tears in my eyes as I'm walking up the fairway, and my caddy turns to me and he says, Jack, he says, you've still got to finish the hole.
Well, here's the applause for Payne Stewart at 17, a preview of what he'll hear at 18, no matter what happens. More golf next week on ABC from over here, the British Senior Open from Turnberry, world-famed Turnberry Hotel. That'll begin at 1 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 12 Central on Saturday on ABC Sports. Well, here's Payne and the ancient wall that borders the road. Well, he has room anyway.
Actually,
Or does
it
he?
may sound silly, but he's probably got the best angle to the hole.
Really?
Yeah. He's just got the road and the bank to negotiate.
Faldo, the long birdie attempt on 16.
Get it.
All right.
He's feeling pretty comfortable about now.
Par will keep him at 19 under, 2 under for the day.
You think about this man right now. If he wins his championship, he won the Masters. He lipped out a putt at the 18th hole at our Open to have a chance to go to win that, and he'll probably win here just for one shot of having a chance to win all 3 of them. That's pretty good golf this year.
If you win all 3, you have a chance to win all 4.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Looks like he's going to pitch it up in the air.
I think so, Jack. He's got his sand wedge, and I think he's going to try to loft it and land it on the green.
I think he's got plenty of green, and he's got the wind helping him. The wind is right in his face, so that's going to be a positive. Actually, he's probably got a chance of doing it from there. They've got the pin so close to the bunker, if he runs it by, it'll come right back to the hole.
They say Alan Robertson once holed it from here. That was only about 150 years ago.
That ball's going to come right back to the hole.
Here it comes.
Come on down the hill.
Good shot, huh?
Oh, that's a terrific shot. I'm surprised the ball stayed there on the hill, though. I thought it was going to run back down to about 2-3 feet.
It didn't roll quite far enough by, Jack. Another foot up the hill. I think you're right.
So he'll need that for the par. Stay 3 under for the day, 15 under the British Open Championship. Craig Parry there. He's in the bunker.
He lies 3, Jim. He's really had some unfortunate breaks on the back 9.
Yeah, double bogey on 14, right? Bogey on 15.
Bogey on 16.
And 16.
The only way you get this one close is hit the pin.
Good as you could do, huh?
Yep. You get it about 6-8 feet if you hit a great shot, and that's about what he did.
He'll need that putt for another bogey, however. Ian Baker Finch for a par. 16, no. And it's slipping away from him a bit. That'll... All right. Even on today's round, he had a couple under. No, he's giving them back. That drops him down. And the tie with Woosnam, who had 69 today. Jody Mudd, who had 66. Leaves Mark McNulty all alone in 3rd place behind Faldo and Stewart. McNulty, who shot 65. There's a good look at where we are. The old great tune, they call it. And I know, Jack, you've mentioned many times that the town itself and all the other things that go with it mean a lot to you as well as the golf.
Oh, I think it's fabulous. It's just, I don't know many golf courses that start in the center of town and they're the center of focus. And they start and finishes here, and it's a very, very special place in golf and in my life.
That was a good bogey for Craig Parry. There comes Faldo. Okay.
I assume that was a 3-wood off the tee, was it not?
Brussy?
That is correct, Jack, exactly.
And I assume he'll probably play the second shot short right and then play for 5. And if he makes 4, fine.
4-shot lead. And Payne Stewart needs this for a par. Or it'll be a 5-shot lead. Coming up on 6:15 in the evening here at St Andrews in Scotland. There'll be daylight for another 4 hours yet. This time of the year, we're further north than you might think, unless you look at your world atlas. Now he trails by 5, which is where he was when the day began. 2 under for the day. 14 under for the championship. We'll return with more golf action from the British Open, but he would contrive to make an 8 or something here, which certainly seems most unlikely. Nick Faldo, but walking the champion home in the Open at St Andrews is one of the great things in sport.
I don't imagine Nick is going to try to get the ball on the green here. I imagine he's going to play it just short to the right.
Playing from 215 yards, Jack.
What's he got, about a 3-iron, 4-iron?
I think so, yeah. I think he has a 3-iron. Trying to hold it into the wind. Right where you said he'd put it, Jack. Couldn't be better.
Just what you said, that's right.
Well, that's the only smart way to play the hole, and he chips it up, but if he leaves himself somewhere 15 feet for a par, that's fine. He'd be very happy with that.
Payne Stewart had his tee shot on 18 just before Nick Faldo hit that one, and here it was.
Right at the clock, Jim.
That's where you want to be. Cross Granny Clark's wind and into good position. We're going to be back to finish it up in the British Open. Stewart will not win the British Open, but if he can make a birdie on the last hole, he'll become the first player ever to have 4 rounds under 70. And he'll have a chance. In a few moments, he'll receive his tribute as the runner-up. There is his ball. The other ball we saw was Craig Parry's. Now Faldo on 17. Well short, but you said when he started this hole that the 5 would be okay.
Anything inside 20 feet he'll be quite happy with. You 2-putt that and move right along.
As he comes up for that next putt, we might take a look at some more scores to keep you up to date on the British Open. Getting near the end. There you see Faldo by 5 over Payne Stewart. Mart McNulty shot 65 today. A beautiful round. You saw Woosnam there and some of the others. Here, let's get back to that for a moment. Baker Finch at 12 under. Jody Mudd, who had a fine round today, of 66. Greg Norman had 69 today, but it was much too late after yesterday's 76. Steve Pate played well, so did Corey Pavin. David Graham, former U.S. Open champion. Donnie Hammond had a good tournament. Robert Gamez, the young one, in his first British Open. Tim Simpson, who played so well in our Open. Vijay Singh of Fiji. How about that? And young Paul Broadhurst, who shot 63 yesterday. Ola Thobel, another 24-year-old, as is Broadhurst. Remember them for the future. Now Payne Stewart in the Valley of Sin. So he will not have 4 rounds under 70. Nor does it look likely that Nick Faldo will. So that will still be unviolated territory, it appears. Now Faldo with his 4th shot for a par.
He needs to make this and birdie the last. He can do it.
He could do it if he makes this, right?
I think he'll be quite happy to win the tournament. I don't think he's worried about 4 rounds in the 60s.
I don't think that's on his mind.
No. Actually, I think the Open record is in jeopardy here, too.
No, he needed 68 to break the record of Watson's record. You and Tom had that battle down the stretch. You had 268, I think.
I was thinking we were 270, but I guess, is that what it was, 260?
I think so, yeah. Pretty sure.
I was 269.
That's it. For the bogey 5 now. So he's 1 under for the day, about 18 under par, and with a 4-shot lead going to the final hole at St. Andrews.
He says, can I drive it into the fairway? If he has trouble driving in the fairway, it's the widest one in the world.
That's right. Listen, we did a film match here in 1961 between Arnie and Gary hit Rusak's hotel with his tee shot.
Well, coming the other way yesterday, I managed to drive it in the burn.
I didn't mention that.
No, I did, but it's the only place you can make a mistake, and I played too much club.
Okay, now Payne Stewart.
Payne Stewart.
Needing this for a par, the last hole. If he does not make it, he'll drop into a tie for 2nd place with Mark McNulty. So it has some financial significance. So he'll have a round of 71, 1 under par today after earlier ones of 68, 68, and 68. Let's go over to Jack Whitaker quickly.
Thank you. This morning we were talking with Jim Murray, the Pulitzer Prize sports writer from the Los Angeles Times, who said he had a theory that in golf tournaments the winners have 3 hot rounds and 1 cold round, but their cold round doesn't kill them. It's a 71 or a 72 and they don't get hurt. And he said Faldo's had 3 hot rounds, hasn't had his cold one yet. Well, he had his cold one today, but it wasn't cold enough. Payne Stewart had another hot one, but it wasn't warm enough to close the gap. But certainly Payne played dramatically well and gallantly, and all the folks back in Springfield, Missouri can be very proud of their homeboy. For Nick, of course, this reinforces his position as the #1 golfer in the world, and certainly he remains the dominant figure in major championship golf over the last several years. Ahead of him now, the widest fairway in all of golf, a broad, big, gentle green to hit to, and almost as many putts as he wants. And then the processional walk up. Henry Longhurst said once that the win at St. Andrews, with 8,000 people cheering you in the grandstand and hundreds of others clinging precariously to chimney pots, who in his right mind would want to win anywhere else? Jim?
All right, Jack. Well, there's the tee shot on 18 across Granny Clark's wind into a nice position. Back in 1978, a year that you won, Jack, Gerald Micklem, a man you knew very well, took a 19-year-old Nick Faldo around with handwritten notes on this course and showed him just how to play it. He finished 8th at that time. Year was Tom Watson in 1982, and before that it was the man sitting next to me, Jack Nicklaus. Here's the scene. This will be not the largest winning margin, 5 strokes, 90 years ago, J.H. Taylor won at St. Andrews by 8. 63 years ago, Bobby Jones won by 6. Here it is. But it'll be even larger after he hits his second and starts up to the green. The 33-year-old Englishman, at the peak of his powers, we said at the beginning that he could almost literally crown himself the greatest player in the world. I certainly think he's done that today, Jay.
I think he's proven to everybody that, as Jack Whitaker said earlier, that certainly over the last few years he's been the best in the majors, and today is the best here, and certainly I don't think there's anybody that can even think of challenging right at the moment.
Well, you won more of those by far than anyone in the history of the game, and you never treated them as just another golf tournament.
They're not just other golf tournaments, Jim. When you feel you can really win one, then they're something very, very special. People slough them off sometimes because they don't really feel they can win one.
Mm-hmm. Now that's the crowd. They let the crowd come across the fairway behind a rope. It's a tradition in the British Open. Sometimes it gets a bit unruly. A couple of shouts there.
He did not mind that a bit.
Yeah.
He wants to enjoy this moment, and I think he could care less whether it takes a half an hour to play this shot.
Milk it a little. Huh?
That's exactly right.
All right. Part of the green. And now he'll make the walk, as J.H. Taylor did, and Bobby Jones, Tony Lima, Jack Nicklaus twice, Seve Ballesteros, and all the rest. First, he'll have to wait for his playing companion of the day, Ian Baker Finch, to hit. Baker Finch has dropped down to 11 under now. Tied for 6th with Greg Norman. 1 over for the day. Good shot. Now as Nick begins that walk, maybe Jack, you could kind of imagine what's in his mind. You should know what's in there. You made this walk 3 times.
Well, as you walk up that fairway, you just sort of say, isn't it great? You're sitting out here, you're enjoying the moment, you're looking at the people, and the people are appreciative of what you've done. You're appreciative of the response to you, and you just sort of say, what a moment you want to remember forever. Just let it last a long time. It's just something very, very special. And Nick's running to the green now.
Well, he could get swarmed under.
I've had to do that too.
Yeah.
And you don't mind that a bit either.
No. I've seldom seen them gathered that close around the final putts. Let's quickly go over to Roger.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim. With me, Payne Stewart. Payne, you gave it a good run. Were you aware how close you got to Nick Faldo today?
Yeah, when I got to 16, I thought that I was a couple shots back, and the drive at 13, making bogey there, kind of took the wind out of the sails. I was running pretty good and playing well, and to finish the way I did, at least a pretty sour taste in my mouth. But I played well. I managed my game well, except for maybe the last hole today. The last thing you do is get it up on top, and anyway.
Your second place finish in a British Open. You've played well in this tournament the past 4 or 5 years. The one shot today you'd look back on, maybe the drive at 13?
Yeah, I think that would be one that kind of turned the tide a little bit. I was on a roll, and to not drive it, the fairway's so wide, and driving that bunker's, that's the first fairway bunker I've been in all week long. Yeah. So came at a bad time.
Well, you had 3 consecutive 68s, and you came in with a 71. Whatever, it was great playing today by you.
Thank you. I am, still want to win this one, though, so we'll try again next year.
Well, defending PGA champion, we'll see you down at Shoal Creek.
Look forward to it, Roger.
Okay. Thank you very much, Payne. Let's go back to Jim.
Well, there it is, Payne Stewart with that great effort. You do have to believe someday he's going to win this. He's played so well in it. Now he'll have to go defend his PGA championship, of course, at Shoal Creek. There it is, a 5-stroke lead at the moment, unless Faldo makes a long birdie putt here, or should 3-putt, which is unlikely. To look at Nick Faldo's record in the British Open since 1986. 86 he finished 5th, then he won it, then he finished 3rd. Last year tied for 11th, and now he's won it again. And you look at the other majors, it's pretty close to that too, the last 2 or 3 years.
It's been very good.
This year, oddly, he's not won on the European Tour. More than 40,000 were on the golf course today. More than 200,000 for the week. Hale Irwin there, finished at 1 under, U.S. Open champion. Jack Nicklaus at 1 over with a 1 under round today of 71. Martin Poxon had a great first round and began to fade a bit. Ian Baker Finch. This could move him up if he would make this putt to a tie with Jody Mudd. And now the total concentration, and we'll in a moment go to Nick Faldo. You think Baker Finch might finish up first, Jackson? Yeah.
I think he was worried about standing in Nick's line, and I don't think Nick's too worried about spike marks. There's been 10 million people in the last few years walk over that one spot, and I think it's still very smooth.
If he makes this putt, it'll be a round of 73, 11 under for the championship. Tie for 6th place with Greg Norman for Ian Baker Finch. The 2 Australians tied there. Behind Faldo, Payne Stewart, Mark McNulty, Ian Woosnam, and Jody Mudd. Great tournament for Jody Mudd of the United States for the 66 today. But here's the world's greatest golfer at this moment. Winner of the Masters this year. Missed a playoff for the U.S. Open by 1 shot. That putt on the final hole that rimmed the cup and spun out. Kept running on him a little bit. He'll need that for a round of 71, 1 under par, just what he needed today. Nick Faldo is the champion golfer. He's won the British Open for the 2nd time. A round of 71, 18 under par for the championship. 67, 65, 67, and 71. That's as close as Nick comes to demonstrating it all, even after winning the British Open. Age 33, English-born, English resident, lives in Ascot, where the great race course is. And could have many more major championships in his bag of tricks. There's his wife, Jill, and his little boy. Faldo has won the British Open Championship with a score just 2 strokes higher than the all-time 72-hole record set by Tom Watson at Turnberry in his battle with Jack Nicklaus. But of the championships that have been played at St. Andrews, he had the lowest 72 holes by 6 strokes. What a performance. A great day for England. Later today on ABC Sports, we continue televising from Europe, from France, you'll see Greg LeMond winning the Tour de France for the second time in a row. Next Saturday, next weekend, back in Scotland again at Turnberry Hotel for the British Senior Open Championship. It just keeps going along. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something about the game of golf and St. Andrews while you watch Nick Faldo take it all. So long.
This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.